Clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Alrighty, big tubes, another one of Keeps Clips. So this is Wednesday's. This is your Wednesday's fix of your Daily PoliTITS. If you like politics, but you're sick of the tits, then watch Daily PoliTITS. This show doesn't make the news cycle, it doesn't follow the news cycle, it critically analyses the news cycle from as many talking English spoken holes from around the world, and compare notes. And I've been half watching this morning. Putin backs a Chinese-Ukraine peace plan, so China's playing with the big boys nowadays. They are playing a good game right now, China. So have a look at Reuters, TASS, the BBC's, Sky Newsies, see if we can pause that there, the Al Jazeera's, work. See, pause that there. RT's, Press TV's. Just going round to try and pause these all at the top of the hour, so the German Wave, German Kraut News, the French Frogs. That'll be interesting actually today, but they're kinda. That Mohammed guy, had to be a Mohammed, didn't it? They're getting broke out of jail. Talk TV, I don't know if I can even stomach that anymore. Mike Graham sitting there trying to be like, talk about good stuff. Mike Graham trying to talk about obesity and stuff, and I'm just crap. He's like, fucking is his phone dead? What the fuck is going on here? Probably not. Or else Joe Biden, replay, so watch a wee bit of the Fox Newsies as well, EBC America, ABC Australia, we'll even get something for the Singaporeans. That'll be interesting to see what they're saying about China, and then look at some of the printed presses, CNN, Fox, and some Iranian news outlets as well, so you get the idea. That is the format. Let's get into it. Boom.
Live from London, this is BBC News. Protesters in Georgia promise more demonstrations after Parliament passes a law barring what the government calls foreign influence.
Protesters will be back in the streets here in Tbilisi later today, while the president meets the European delegation to discuss ways to save Georgia's European future.
The search continues in France to find an escaped prisoner after 2 prison officers were killed when a heavily armed gang ambushed their prison van.
The world's well cool nowadays, man. It's like an episode
Boeing could be criminally prosecuted for 2 deadly crashes after it breached a settlement.
Pressurising the hose and
And coming up, Stevie on the wonder of becoming a Ghanaian citizen.
Something's on fire.
Hello,
right,
I'm Sarah Campbell. We start
good
this hour
morning,
in Georgia.
good morning.
Protesters say they'll continue.
Right, I'm too distracted with a flat burning down in front of me. Here, what was that flat down in England that burnt down? Might be able to do a Grenfell live. This progresses, you never know. But what I've kind of half noticed already this morning, and I was distracted there, so I'm going to replay that. was I think the BBC are now on board with Sky News in the sense that they have cancelled Gaza. The Gaza has went the way of Syria. They're just no talking about it. They're okay, everything and anything we say in and around Israel and Gaza turning to shit. Everything's doing is nothing is working. These people are no longer falling for our shite. They are picking it apart and seeing through the tripe. Over. What should we do? What should we do? Just ignore it. Pretend it's... No, don't pretend it's a unicorn, because we all know they're real. Pretend it's pretend it's a proper... Pretend it's a fair monetary system. It doesn't exist. Over. So they're just going to ignore Gaza, right? This is... I'm not even joking, I'm pretty... Right, like, here's the top of our news. Tell me if they have just ignored Gaza, because we'll go and look at Al Jazeera, we'll look at Press TV, we'll look at also around the world and see who's ignoring it, who's no. Because I think the signal's out, the bat signals went out.
BBC News.
Gaza fails to exist.
Promise more demonstrations after Parliament passes a law barring what the government calls foreign influence.
At least they're actually saying that. The so-called foreign influence bill. Well, how did you come to the conclusion it's the so-called foreign influence bill? Well, it's called that. So why is it the so-called foreign influence bill instead of it's a bill that is called the foreign influence bill? It's the so-called foreign influence bill. It's like, him over there, he's got a so-called 12-inch dick. You know, it's like poo in it. It's like the so-called, it's like you're saying it's lies. No, it could be, it could not be. Fuck, there's another fucking fire truck. That's good fun. So let's see, Gaza no longer exists, folks. You heard it here on the BBC. We've slipped into a parallel dimension in a news cycle where the genocide live streamed just ain't happening.
While the president of this country meets European delegation to discuss ways to save Georgia's European future.
Save its European future!
An escaped prisoner after 2 prison officers were killed when a heavily armed gang ambushed their prison van. US authorities say Boeing could be criminally prosecuted for 2 deadly crashes after it breached a settlement. And coming up, Stevie on the wonder of becoming a Ghanaian citizen.
Blind man gets citizenship. What about all the dead bodies a bit? So, looks like BBC's removed it from its news cycle this morning. Not even a wee mention at the top there. It's going to go straight into what pish.
I'm Sarah Campbell.
What's the most important thing the BBC wants you to think about this morning? Georgia. Can you? How many people can point to that on our map? Answers in a postcard. It would be the revolution will not be televised. It will be fucking live streamed on YouTube. Minds. You're right, buddy. You're right, buddy. World War 3 is getting live streamed. This is I'm participating, man. I'm fucking in this shit. So let's see if Sky News decides Gaza and Israel exists again today. Oh, hold on! Don't show us that area of the map. Look, they're even blocking it with a big white thing so you can't fucking see that area of the world. They're just pretending it don't exist. I'm gonna up a bit. Down a bit, left a bit, right a bit, poof, and the country's gone, and the genocide's gone. News cycle, bang. Couple of news cycles, boom, and the genocide's gone. Barry George, back in the Hey, come on, man. We know the world exists. We know this is obviously part of the Flat Earth conspiracy. Sky News perpetuating. Right, come on, Sky News. Tell us what you think about this morning. Oh, that. Oh, did that click on an app? What the fuck is this? I thought this was meant to be some sort of news programme. The home of independent news, I'll crack the jokes.
Coming up on today's programme, we report from the most dangerous route in the world for migrants trying to reach Europe and ask whether the Rwanda...
The most dangerous place in the world. Shh, Gaza. Don't say Israel or Gaza. Yes, for migrants.
The scheme is working to deter the onward journey to the UK.
Brown people on boats.
Lives on social media, we'll hear how teenagers are buying weapons online as the government tells us that it's time to ramp up controversial stop and search tactics.
Plus, at past, the chief executive of the world's largest bank will be on this very programme.
It's Wednesday, the 15th of May. Here are your headlines. Hundreds of young men are dying.
Headlines?
Trying to leave Senegal for Europe in small boats.
Headlines!
The reward outweighs the risk.
Israel continues Gaza genocide. Ukraine getting its ass handed to it in Ukraine. Which makes sense. But China and Russia having a geopolitical fucking cockfest. Here's a man in the boat. Here's a dangerous area for a man in the boat. What else is there to think about, you dumb idiots?
Every day going to Spain is on our minds.
Yeah, he's the black man in a boat. He's better than the brown man in the boat. He's an upgrade.
Also ahead, reports of new age limits restricting the teaching of sex education to be introduced in schools, including a ban on gender identity lessons. We heard from the Minister Chris Philps in the last hour.
Hey. Sounds great, doesn't it? Sounds amens. They mentioned the fact that they've put restrictions into sex education to kids under 9, right, which blows me away. What the fuck are you then teaching kids under 9 about sex? Kids under 9 don't... I don't know. Maybe things have changed. Maybe kids think about sex fucking when they're 9 now. Fuck me, man. How weird. Anyway, and they're no longer teaching kids about fucking the gender stuff. Like, that's actually like kind of saying, well, this stuff's been going on, which is crazy in itself. But anyway, let's see if Gaza exists.
And speaking as a parent, I don't want children who are very young being exposed to inappropriate sort of sexual material at school.
The manhunt for an escaped inmate in France.
You don't want. Surely that's called paedophilia. Grooming. Fuck me. Hello, kids. This is what a penis does. Even though yours isn't even grown yet.
2 officers are killed in an ambush on a prison van. The record rise in food banks. One charity says it handed out over 3 million emergency food parcels.
Anybody that has actually tuned into this for a fucking more than a few days, it's already bearing fruits. Right? It's just a couple of days monitoring the media, not an internet talking head apart from me in fucking sight. And you can see the whitewash that the Western media does when they get the words up from on high, not the Illuminati, the British intelligence services, which control the press here in the UK. That's why the press here in the UK have all sorts of royal agreements, and that's why you need to get your royal news from elsewhere, because all the press here in the UK are in the royal fold. Right, so Sky News and BBC are now just see that genocide over in Gaza. It's becoming really uncomfortable to talk about.
Sky News has travelled to Senegal, where record numbers of people are departing on small boats in an attempt to reach...
Fucking Senegal and small boats. Point to Senegal on a fucking map, y'all. Thank you, Sky News. Dib, dib, dib and all that. This is what they want you to think about and how to think about it. So they do not want you to fucking think about Ukraine, half the news cycle. Woo, no chance. And Gaza, right, get your drinks ready for your dead baby and body fucking game. I cycled 8 miles yesterday and nearly killed myself. And that was me fucking sober on a bike. So I'm playing the dead baby and body drinking game this morning. Al Jazeera copyright fucking strikes me, and I don't mean just like, oh, copyright strike to put adverts over it, man. I mean copyright strike, fucking take that shit down. I've fought it. Let's see what happens. So if this goes away for a while, the Illuminati's either killed me or I've been restricted on my BoobTube channels. Oh my god, look, there's actually somebody in Al Jazeera's chat room called the coronavirus. And you wonder why people shut down chat rooms.
On the outskirts of Jakarta, where you can see the
sewer
scale of what
pit, man.
environmental groups
Fucking
call
honestly,
plastic
social
waste
medias are
crisis.
just the most
The most
disgusting
common plastic pollution in Indonesia are single-use
things
sachets,
ever, man.
which environmental groups say are small, but
Even
accumulate
still,
and add to the country's environmental burden. Indonesia's government says that
Indeed,
it
the
is
worst thing in the
working
world.
to address
Flip
the
the image
plastic
or
waste
adjust the colour a
problem
little.
and has had some success in mechanisms such
What
as
image?
reducing
What
marine
colour?
plastic waste and promoting recycling.
Phone must be like the pen is mightier than this sword. Phone must be that Nike.
As Palestinians mark 76
where's
years
this?
since the
Oh, hold on. Actually, I listened to a wee bit of Al Jazeera earlier this morning. I've been up for dead all, man. Fucking far too early. And wait till these Al Jazeera have went balls out, man. Get your history books out, folks. Kick the goldfish out. Get your goldfish out. Because you're going to have to require fucking a memory, or they want to know what happened before October the 7th. Before Eurovision and October rain. Right, this will require you to actually scratch your nut and go, Shaggy? Anyway.
when they were forcibly displaced from their homeland.
Nakba? I thought that was something they fucking wore in their heat.
An even bigger catastrophe is unfolding in Gaza. Fierce fighting rages on from the north to the south of the Strip in some of the most intense Israeli attacks in weeks.
So, the current genocide, most people, the majority, democracy, agree it's genocide, but the only democracy in the Middle East is committing the genocide, so and the Western press has just completely ignored it. Okay, citizens, line up and take your big pharma jag, you fat cunts. Hold on. Line up, take your fat man jabs, you fat bastards. Just forget about Gaza because things aren't going well. Just like they done with Syria. Syria was Assad was the new Hitler, fucking gassing his own people. Oh my god, the world needs to do something. We're losing. We've lost. Boom. Left a bit, right a bit, up a bit, down a bit, boom, and the war is gone. You know, just like that. BBCs, the Sky Newsies can just bring and take back wars and terrorists. Even the BBC brought Al Qaeda out of retirement the other day. They're now talking about Boko Haram again, the fucking Muslim Brotherhood. All these people are coming out of fucking retirement because they need a whack-a-mole and a reason to go on with a big fucking hammer. Boom! And all he does need some brown cunts going la 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 la, or black cunts going la 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 la, and blowing shit up, and they go boom, there's our big hammer, rattle them. There's the excuse. We're witnessing this worldwide. Anyway, let's get our history books out and get a wee history lesson from Al Jazeera, who, remember, this area of the world exists today. It remembers.
You're watching Al Jazeera live from our headquarters in Doha. I'm Darine Abu Gheda. Also coming up, the U.S. is looking to approve more than $1 billion package of weapons for Israel. And crisis meeting in Paris, 2 dead in a second night of protests over voting reforms in the French overseas territory of New Caledonia. Palestinians call the founding of Israel the Nakba, or the catastrophe. 76 years ago, more than 750,000 people were forcibly evicted from their homes. And today, they're going through an even greater catastrophe. More than 35,000 men, women, 1,000 catastrophe. 76 years ago, more than 750,000 people were forcibly evicted from their homes. And today, they're going through an even greater catastrophe. More than 35,000 men.
So the answer to the Nazis killing 6 million people was to displace 750,000 people to make way for the remaining. Hold on. I've got ignorance I do want to ask my brain about. AI. What is the population of Israel?
Here you go.
You're not going to spit it out, biatch? Oh, because it's a big, long, complicated answer. Fuck's sake. What is the population of the state of Israel?
Here you go.
Oh, fuck you. Fucking hell. AI. You can't even AI's fucking biased, bigoted, censored fucking can't give you a fucking straight answer. Surely that's fucking simple enough. It's the fucking population and state of fucking Israel.
We lived through the Nakba not just once. We were displaced several times. Palestinian exiles. In 2014 we were displaced. In 2008 we were displaced. In 2022 we were displaced. I was a child in 1967 as well, and the circumstances were very difficult. A person does not feel themselves except in their home. A very bitter reality, and the situation is difficult, a tiring and boring life. We have begun to wish that we would die under the rubble of our homes, rather than be abandoned.
Our life is a tragedy. Life is non-existent. People have been destroyed. How many martyrs have died? Thousands. Half of the population of Gaza has died. Gaza has been destroyed. The rich person has become a beggar in Gaza. Israel has taken us back 100 years.
We'll bring in our correspondent Tariq Abu Azoum, who's joining us from Deir al-Balah in central Gaza. Tariq, the war in Gaza is described by some as another Nakba in terms of what's happening to the Palestinians. Tell us what people are going through.
So you can see they've turned this up to 11 this morning, big style, man.
Well, Palestinians, in fact, have been describing that with the new notion of Nakba, due to the fact that the war has brought completely negative repercussions on all life of aspects, including the humanitarian and the security one, where we're talking about a very collateral destruction being caused to the entire Gaza Strip since the eruption of this round of conflict, which has been described to be the deadliest ever. Just take you through a quick comparison between the first and the second Nakba, as Palestinians have been describing. In 1948 Nakba, at least 15,000 Palestinians have been reported killed, while in October the 7th, since October the 7th, more than 35,000 Palestinians being killed. We're talking about 520 villages at least being stormed by the Israeli militias and gangs in 1948, while more than 70% of Gaza's residential buildings and towns being invaded by the Israeli military, leaving behind capital destruction.
See, that's a very worthwhile history lesson, isn't it? Because a lot of people don't even know this.
And unsuitable for human habitation. So clearly what is happening in the ground is a collateral and mass genocidal military campaign. Specifically that
I'd say a lot of the people that are even like the pro-Palestinian protesters aren't aware of all the ins and outs of all this stuff.
Is ongoing till now on the ground, as they believe that they will continue to suffer from the repercussions of the genocidal military campaign on the territory for decades to come, as Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, has said that the Gaza Strip needs to at least more than 10 years in order to be rebuilt again and to reconstruct what has been destroyed by the Israeli military since October the 7th.
And Todd, the fighting obviously on the ground continues.
Who gets the contracts
Israeli
to
forces are pushing
rebuild
deeper into areas in the north of the Strip as well as the south, but they are facing resistance from the fighters. Bring us up to speed with what's happening there.
Well, the north and the south of the Strip are the main theatre for military operations by the Israeli army. The Israeli military said that they are carrying a very limited military incursion for the eastern portion of Rafah city, but that that operation now is advancing gradually in a very slow motion rhythm.
Especially when they can hide
been
behind
passing more controversial evacuation orders for
II
residents in the central areas as the battles in
Dune?
the eastern
What's
side of the city sound to be completely bloody and violent. We saw different videos emerging showing how close is the fighting between Hamas fighters and the Israeli soldiers. They have been attacking military tanks, Israeli bulldozers with explosive devices in order to force them to withdraw from the area that they are trying to make a proper invasion for. Alongside that, the northern part of the Gaza Strip, now the battles are in the heart of the Jabalia refugee camp, as military tanks have been firing and even leveling to the ground different residential buildings, as in the middle area as well. There are areas been told has been previously an area.
Reporting from Palestine began more than a century. Immigration from look up 8%. Before the British mandate in Palestine began more than a century ago, Jews made up 8% of the population. By 1940.
Yeah, 8% of the population. This is when it wasn't the only democracy in the Middle East. So what did they have to do? Let's kill all the fucking Arabs so that we've got the we win demographically speaking, and then we'll hold an election. Sounds good. Good to you. Yeah. High five. Tag me in. And this isn't disputable. You know, it's undisputable. It's how you interpret it. Is this them returning back to their homeland, and is it Europe just getting rid of the fucking Jew problem? Is this Europe's final solution for the Jews? Stick them in that hellhole and turn it into a fucking beachhead for them.
33%. On May the 14th, 1948, the British mandate ended and the State of Israel was created. Armed Zionist forces captured 78% of historic Palestine, and then they expelled 750,000 Palestinians from their homes. After the 1967 Arab-Israeli War, Israel then occupied even more of historic Palestine, and it annexed East Jerusalem.
Fucking bigger than
then
fucking
came the Oslo Accords
Scotland,
in the mid-1990s. The occupied West Bank was carved into 3 areas, granting Palestinians limited power to govern in only Area A and partially in Area B. Well, Palestinians say the ongoing war and military expansion in the occupied West Bank are clear evidence of a second Nakba. But this time, they're facing it alone. Zain Basravi has more from the occupied West Bank.
A cemetery near the Jenin refugee camp in the occupied West Bank. The final resting place for dozens of Iraqi soldiers. Christians and Muslims, Sunnis and Shias, Arabs and Kurds. People from all walks of life fought and died for Palestine in 1948. It was the first Arab-Israeli war to defend against the forced displacement of Palestinians from their land.
I have no idea why the BBC and Sky News don't touch on this.
They were positioned in the olive groves in this mountain. They started shooting and pushed the Zionists all the way back. The Iraqis were the only ones that fought here side by side with the Palestinians. Nowadays, Arab armies have no say. Everyone is on their own. Everyone wants to preserve their own interests.
Historians say Israel's objective has always been
lonely. I'm so lonely. It can't be too early to fucking laugh about this stuff, can it?
The ethnic cleansing of Palestine. But what is happening now is much more violent. During the Nakba, 13,000 Palestinians died over the span of 3 years.
Hold on. Say that again, Sam.
During the Nakba, 13,000 Palestinians died.
13,000.
Died over the span now is much more violent. During the Nakba, 13,000 Palestinians died over the span of 3 years.
So, to create Israel, they only had to kill fucking 13 Arabs. Now, to keep the war going, because it certainly isn't to win it, they've killed 35,000.
Since October, more than 35,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza in just 7 months.
The killing is from one side. Civilian population killed with...
One thing you can say about technology, gets the job done.
The most sophisticated American weapons, day and night, minute by minute.
Geopolitically, the region is also different. 76 years ago, the Nakba was a catastrophe for all Arab countries.
That was
really
British.
Decades of what has been a violent...
Don't see the Britain man today, Harold. What report?
Conflict, civilian suffering, the assassination of political leaders, massacres, defeats on the battlefield and at the negotiating table. What becomes clear is that with every year that has gone on, Palestinians have found themselves more and more alone with their struggle. Descendants of the displaced and occupied say Palestinians have hope in Arab people, but not Arab leaders.
In the West Bank, we've seen multiple raids and killings. There's an active genocide in Gaza. Previously, Arab armies shared blood with
when they've wrapped up their history of Gaza and
Gaza
stuff.
is at war without anyone by its side. It's fighting by itself.
Mate, you could do with this new weight loss wonder drug.
You're asking me about the Arab armies. Shame on them. They are used against their own people. They're not meant to fight another country. They're there to fight riots. But to fight another army? No.
Palestinians say they remain but they will win their freedom from Israeli occupation.
He just called the armies out. They're there to fight riots. I.e. they're an army against their own people. They're not there to fight armies. Oh, wow. Can't you believe this isn't on Sky News?
Someday. Despite seemingly insurmountable odds, and despite knowing, they will have to do it themselves. Zain Basravi, Al Jazeera, the occupied West Bank, Palestine.
And we'll speak to Zain now. He's joining us from Ramallah, once again in the occupied West Bank. So, Zain, how are people in the West Bank
looks like
marking the 76 years of Nakba?
She's cat-like.
Well, we're beginning the day's events by hearing speeches on loudspeakers here in Manara Square. There are expected to be rallies, protests, demonstrations, a march. Leaders here from the Palestinian Authority are expected to make speeches, but the fact of the matter is there is a cloud hanging over the events this year. When people here say that this is the worst violence the Palestinians have ever seen, well, we've seen Gaza playing out on our phones, right in our pockets. That has been very well documented. Here in the West Bank, the escalation of military raids, the pressure of the military occupation, the parallel military government that rules Palestinians under Israeli occupation has become so intense that people have no idea how to deal with it. So when they say that it is the worst it's ever been, it isn't based on any sort of feeling or vitriol. It's simply based on the ground facts, on the ground changes in how violent Israeli military forces have become in Gaza and in the West Bank on Palestinian communities.
And Zain, to what extent do people there feel isolated and perhaps let down by not only the international community, but also by the Palestinian Authority in control in the West Bank?
See, if God was real, so everybody's really fucking funny man in the fucking sky was real.
Every Palestinian you talk to say they feel more and more constricted, more and more constrained, more and more isolated, as you say, as this condition of theirs, this occupation continues to worsen. You know,
most holy is the Holy Land. The Holy Land. Only if the fucking hole they're talking about is your asshole.
The international community was largely
fucking asshole of the world, man. Full of
working class
fucking windy like fucking idiots that can't think for themselves. Need some cunt else to tell them to fucking interpret a book for me.
There's normalization. The UAE and Saudi is on the road to normalizing with Israel. Jordan flew aircraft to combat the Iranian strikes last month. We're seeing Egypt coordinate on security at the Gaza border with Israel to maintain Israeli security priorities. And of course, even last month in Riyadh during a conference, President Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president, had
because it all came under the same sphere of influence
of the Palestinians. It was his duty. So even their leaders are speaking in a way that is difficult for Palestinian people to stomach. And what we keep hearing is that the Arab people protests on the street that they see, the protests we've seen in campuses at universities in the United States, across Europe, all of these indicate that the people are in opposition to what their leaders are doing. And Palestinians know that unless governance changes in neighboring countries, as well as on the international stage, unless governance changes, their circumstances here will continue to get worse, not better.
Okay, thank you. Zain Basravi, thanks for that update from Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Gershon Baskin is the Middle East director at the NGO, the International Communities Organization. He's also a former hostage negotiator, and he says that
what do people hear when they hear NGO? It's like to me, right? I know what it stands for, right? And no doubt there's some fucking well-meaning ones out there, maybe possibly up a bit, down a bit, left a bit, right a bit, boom, and I'm sure it's a nice NGO. But when I hear NGO, I hear books, corporations hiding behind Jesus sandals or fucking Captain Planet or vaginas or too many vaginas, not enough vaginas, who has a vagina, or that barrage of shit. I just hear people, manipulators, pulling strings, hiding behind what can be presented as honourable causes, and then you get your bought and paid for virtue signallers that come on board, who might even believe in the virtues of whatever fucking Kendall fucking crap they're spewing, but believe in it, and then they've got financial gain, and boom shakalaka, you've got the cycles complete. You've got the puppet and the puppet master, and the puppet masters, and that's what you could argue is happening in Georgia.
A new, more brutal Nakba is unfolding in Gaza, one with more
Yes, that's
weapons.
the new branding, everybody. Watch this space. You heard it here first. Yesterday, a lot of people might have not even known the word
and during the last 7 months, it's been even more dramatic because
I'm going to say this is going to be the new thing.
Deadly than they were in 1948.
Al Jazeera,
the continuous bombing, the relocation of people 3, 4, 5 times within the Gaza Strip with no place to go. Every Palestinian in Gaza, in the occupied territories, in East Jerusalem, in the Palestinian diaspora, watches TV every day and sees the suffering of their people and relives the trauma of the Nakba. I think it's very live for people. If people could have looked forward and thought perhaps there is a way out of this Nakba, it seems to be ongoing with no end in sight.
The U.S. State Department has sent $1 billion Israeli military aid package to Congress for review. This comes as President Joe Biden paused the shipment of weapons to Israel earlier this month. And he's warned Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not to launch a ground invasion into Rafah without safeguards for civilians. Shihab Ratansi reports from Washington, D.C.
This is being presented as a new long-term deal to supply Israel with weaponry, with the $700 million in tank ammunition, $500 million in tactical vehicles, and $60 million in mortar rounds not being available for delivery for several months or even several years. It is a clear sign, though, to both Joe Biden's campaign donors, as well as those members of his own party and the Republican Party, that it is business as usual, as we've had several members of the White House continue to emphasize in the US
so the poll's going to be, do the BBC and Sky News know
except for that one shipment
they have
of
lost
£2,000
the hearts and minds over
Gaza,
Gaza, and that's why they are
not
so
talking
about it.
The White House does not believe that the red lines have been crossed despite the forcible displacement of 450,000 people. So, an attempt to reassure Biden's campaign donors and the Democratic Party in a week, in fact, when there was supposed to be more discussion in Congress about potentially cutting off the Pentagon, the State Department,
right, I'm just going to have
and
to
the National Security Council.
Do the BBC and Sky News know they have
lost
to
continue to withhold those £2,000 bonds?
Gaza?
Shia Bertansi, Al Jazeera,
makes
Washington.
sense.
Still ahead on Al Jazeera, Russian forces claim further advances in the Kharkiv region.
These have just popped in. BBC and Sky News.
And 40,000
the whole news cycle
living near Lake Victoria have been forced from their homes
saying the word Israel or Gaza.
Its banks.
The memo is out from head office, and the memo is stop picking. Speaking about this.
Right, now it's mid-May, should be nice and warm, but the Bay of Biscay is giving a good impression of it being March. It's a big circulation area. It's the centre of a low pressure.
Remember him, he's old BBC?
It's stormy out here, which it shouldn't be. And then the band of rain it's pushing ahead of it is slow-moving in places.
Remember that? I can't remember his name, but he used to be the BBC.
France. Wet weather in southern France, moving through the Po Valley of northern Italy.
Al Jazeera
in the Italian
broadcast out
and
at
Swiss Alps. It's
Doha.
all moving only slowly eastwards. So Bordeaux.
And their royal family
does improve
helped the royal family kick out the Ottoman Empire back in the mid-late 19th century.
Going to be the Po Valley, Slovenia, and possibly
goldfish now.
As well,
don't look at
history.
history.
Amount of wind, which means planning on
previous alliances and stuff by the people
it's
who
going to be rather windy, probably thundery, and quite often wet for at least a couple of days. But ahead of all that, it's still nice and warm, as spring should be. That warmth's been brought up.
Oh, fuck you, man! If you're fucking freezing our bollocks off up here, man.
Government is here, and we need ocean.
Fucking staying in a desert telling me about, oh, it's nice and warm.
Or what the Palestinians call the Nakba, or the
they
catastrophe.
Are going hard. Right, so let's go and we'll do a wee bit of RP before it fucks up on the DVR abilities.
Distorted by power. Tired vision with no...
Morning DJ, morning Devon. The BBC and Sky News have removed Gaza, Israel, off its news cycle completely. Yesterday, at least the BBC mentioned it. Today, it's just gone. Going underground, going underground. China and Russia #1 motherfuckers! Putin in China. That sounds like a porno, doesn't it?
Vladimir Putin praises Russia's strengthening
relations
with China as he is set to visit Beijing this week. It will be his first trip abroad after his recent
I'll let him give him a fucking McDaddy chain, man.
Top diplomat Anthony Blinken rocks out on guitar at a concert in Kyiv, pledging his continued support while Ukrainian men are being snatched on the streets.
You're mocking this prick, brilliant.
As Israel celebrates 76 years since the creation of the Jewish state, Palestinians mark the Nakba, the catastrophe, when their ancestors were forced to hand over their land.
Let's not forget,
today is the most important day.
This all happened on October the 7th, people. It hasn't been fucking a constant ethnic cleansing and genociding of the people to set up a state for the
legislation to increase transparency among foreign-funded NGOs, but the president says she will veto the bill.
For what I believe, to make sure, keep the Ottoman Empire influences out, get the Christian influences in, and use the Jews to do it.
Today for the latest global news roundup. I'm Rohan Hamami, and this is RT International. Our top story: Vladimir Putin has given an interview to the Chinese media ahead of his two-day visit to that country later this week.
Tell me in the
correspondent
fucking chat as well, have I worded that question really
Well,
badly?
it's a big indication in terms of just how important this growing, long-standing strategic partnership between China and Russia is for the leaders of both countries. In this interview with Chinese media, Russian President Vladimir Putin said he's had many fruitful exchanges with Xi Jinping over the years since they met back in 2010. And he also said that the current level of relations between the two countries is unprecedented, and that they continue to grow on a basis of mutual cooperation and without interference from any sort of ideology.
They've banned Winnie the Pooh because he looks like fucking, is it Winnie the Pooh or Donkey or something?
Are free from the influence of either ideology or political trends. I am talking about our joint efforts to strengthen sovereignty, to protect the territorial integrity and security of our countries. In a broader sense, we are working to contribute to the development and prosperity of Russia and China by enhancing equal, mutually beneficial economic and humanitarian cooperation, and strengthen foreign policy coordination in the interests of building a just multipolar world order. All this is the key to a future success of our comprehensive strategic partnership in the new era.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Donald, what else? I mean, what are the key highlights from that interview that Putin gave to the Chinese media?
Well, there was a big focus on organizations like BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Putin talked about their role in bringing the global South together in the spirit of openness, transparency, and mutually beneficial cooperation. He also did bring attention, however, to the role of the Western elites in the current geopolitical landscape. He said that there's a real disregard and disrespect for different cultures and different civilizations that don't want to be exactly the way the West wants them to be.
Earth is the cradle of humanity, our common home, and we are all equal as its inhabitants. I am convinced that this view is shared by most people on the planet. However, the countries that affiliate themselves with the so-called Golden Billion do not seem to think so. US-led Western elites refuse to respect civilizational and cultural diversity and reject centuries-old traditional values. They disregard other countries' sovereign interests. They seek to ensure their well-being at the expense of other states, just like in the old days, and resort to neo-colonial methods to that end. Needless to say, neither Russia nor its partners are happy with this state of affairs. We have actively contributed to launching multilateral associations and mechanisms that are independent of the West and are successfully operating.
Donald, I guess what's on everyone's lips is Ukraine, and we know that the Chinese leader's been instrumental in putting towards a plan, perhaps to bring both sides of Russia and Ukraine and the West together, at least to a negotiating table. Yet we're not hearing any sort of, I don't know, a response from the West regarding discussions or negotiations. Why is that?
Well, Vladimir Putin spoke a lot about this, about China's efforts to stimulate the peace process going on right now. He specifically mentioned the 12-point program that Beijing put forward last year. He called it commendable, and he said that the additions that Xi Jinping has made since then are completely constructive, and there's something that Moscow is ready to work with. But unfortunately, the problem lies with the attitude of the West and the Kiev regime right now, because they're not interested in dialogue, according to the Russian president. They're on a mission to punish Russia.
Beijing proposes practicable and constructive steps to achieve peace by refraining from pursuing vested interests and constant escalation of tensions, minimizing the negative impact of the conflict on the global economy and the stability of global value chains. The steps build on the idea that we need to forego the Cold War mentality. Unfortunately, neither Ukraine nor its Western patrons support these initiatives.
GG, if you suggest to Orthodox Jews that the West are using Zionism, thus a lot of Jewish people through that mechanism, as a human shield to keep the marauding Muslims at bay in the Holy Land, most people that are bald deep in the Zionist project, which is just what I believe is built, put in place to serve the purpose I just said, they will call you an anti-Semite or something for some reason. You're like, I don't know, I agree with these big bunch of, you know, the ultra-Orthodox Jews that, you know, like, read the Torah and, like, live by the Torah. It's mental. It's a crazy. And they'll just go, Hitler! And I think Hitler was a crackpot. You're a self-hating Hitler, anti-Semite, self-hating Jew. I don't know, just bad. Get him.
Official trip abroad since his new inauguration. But Chinese leader, if you remember back last year, he also went to Russia, or he came to Russia, should I say, for his first international meeting. So when he was re-elected, why do you think that Putin chose China?
First trip to
what does it say
China,
about the relations between the two countries?
Well, thank you for having me on the program. I appreciate it. You know, we're talking about a relationship that started in 2010. They've been seeing and calling each other for 14 years already. We have to understand that the entire global community, the global economy has actually changed here in the last couple of years, where Russia has pretty much, you know, solidified its ties with China to the tune of about $280 billion of trade per year. And this is pretty much, I would say, one of the main targets for the visit.
Right,
yeah,
and thus that's why he's sitting there
sincerely working on trade deals.
Remember with people
we had Xi
up on
Jinping, he
RP?
obviously went on a mini European tour. Xi Jinping's always been under quite a lot of pressure from
Ken O'Keefe,
Western
Max Egan,
countries, if you like, to sort of, I don't know, come to
was
their
Countess
side of the
on
pond.
RT.
What kind of message is this sort of sending
any
to the West, if you like, when we have
bastard
such
on that will
strong
just say what they want them to
friendships
say?
between two
And
leaders?
preferably, in fact, 9 times out of 10,
This
if not all the
message,
time,
as you say,
it's an
what
American or
message is
Brit.
sending to the Western or
that's
collective West,
who
we'll call them,
this messaging,
is
that's
thanks
the
but
market
no
this
thanks.
messaging is aimed
We
for.
have a new relationship here. You know, the American
Blogger
playbook
and
on
political
bankrupt and
analyst.
bully
Got a
doesn't work
website,
anymore.
man. He
It
blogs
hasn't
with
been
his
working here in the
blog, he
last
writes
couple of
text
years as
message.
they tried
He's
to
a professional
sanction
troll.
Russia into an oblivion with over
what the fuck is a blogger?
16,000 sanctions in
Who
the
the
last
fuck
couple
does
of
that
years.
Xi Jinping
This
look
is
like? Is it Winnie the
two
Pooh?
countries that can put their political differences aside, continue on building trade in the relationship for the better of their citizens. And I have to tell you, Russia's economy is doing quite well.
Oh, you're a cock boy for
China,
Russia.
as is China.
That's what he is.
You know, it's been more than 2 years since the Russian and Chinese leaders declared a no-limits partnership as part of sort of a pushback against American dominance, hegemony. I mean, how effective is this
I should have had that as a poll. Does Xi Jinping look like Winnie the Pooh?
What it
But I think
does
that
is
would
it
have been
gives even
unanimous.
companies and countries that are connected to the Belt and Road, which there's over 150 of, the confidence to know that they don't need to go to the IMF, you know, to borrow money, and they can stand tall and be proud of their nation with support of Russia, support of China. We have seen a country pretty much be canceled in the last 2 years here. And what happens to it when it has great partners like China to help it revive its economy? It flourishes. And this should be send a major warning shot across to the other side of the pond there, saying you can't bully, bankrupt, and bomb these countries anymore and replace leaders. Russia's here to stay. And China's
Ken
behind it.
O'Keefe, man.
Yeah,
Who was Max Egan's cock boy back in the day, by the way. Let's not forget that. And the only reason they broke up is because Ken O'Keefe took the girl and took the dough and kicked the old fucking potato fucking muncher out. He was in on the scams. Hookers and blow. Internet, your freedom fighters starting up our own country. Push, give us your money.
Are we going to be looking at a more sort of,
How quick people are to forget that country is Anarchapulco or some shit where all the fucking cock trains at the Truffer Industrial Complex go to fucking suck dick with each other and came back and started telling people how bad 5G was. How many fucking scams are cunts going to go fall for? Off these talking heads before you ping them off the pussies off the pedestals that people put them on. Max Egan being one.
That means whether it's Starbucks, whether it's McDonald's.
Look at the amount of Fruit Loops that fucking gravitate towards flat earth tards. Thomas Sheridan. This guy is a grown man that can't fucking groom a beard. His beard looks like it's got fucking things grown in it. And he says there's a cave that he can go into and goes to the centre of the earth. and he's been 110% legit. In fact, he's pretending to be 100% legit because the guy's a Fruit Loop. He doesn't believe this push, and he sits there in his wee Irish accent and go, "Come on there, my stupid American brothers and sisters. Listen to my little leprechaun over here. Because of my stupid voice, I'm going to tell you bullshit, so I am. And I make lots of money and I'll go to a cave that doesn't exist in the back garden where it doesn't exist, but we live in land of gold, don't you know?" And fucking all the dumbass backward motherfucking Yankee Doodle dandies fucking love it. Love it, man. Window lickers laugh. "Oh my God, look at this Irishman. Don't you know there's a cave in the back of his garden, don't you know?" No, that's him. "Gee, Billy Bob Thornton." I'm not even going to justify it. Then you get crackpots like this blogger and political analyst.
And this is where Russia has said, okay, China, we need some support. We trust your currency. You haven't ripped us off. You haven't stolen our money. You haven't sanctioned us. As a matter of fact, you've replaced even our car industry. And if you are a person that lives in Russia right now, I bet you my bottom dollar here that you're probably either being driven around in
What's your
Russian
coining it in me
taxi
about talking
or,
about this shit?
A new energy
Go and stay
vehicle
in
from
China, you fucking reprobate.
Yeah, indeed. And we saw quite recently how the Biden administration put, like, was it a 200% levy on Chinese imports? I mean, clearly they're not looking at the future. They're still living very much in the past, aren't they, Alex? You know, during the recent visit to China, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken warned Beijing of more sanctions over its ties with Russia. Do you think those threats could have any influence on the strong ties between Russia and China?
Well, what the United States doesn't understand when they sanction or they issue tariffs, it's not hurting Russia or China. It's actually completely closing off a market from the United States. I mean, if you're a homeowner or if you're an automobile owner in the United States, you should be really angry about what's happening here. You cannot enjoy something that might be good for your environment. You cannot enjoy something that is going to, help your economy move forward. New energy vehicles are the future, whether America wants to invite them or not. Unfortunately, they've closed over 340 Americans out of this, which is amazing.
You know, a lot of I read the transcript of the interview that that President Putin gave to Chinese media. He talked a lot about the history of China and Russia. He talked how it was the USSR that recognized the PRC. It was one of the countries, I think it was the second one, that recognized the PRC. Is this... And he also talked about how Chinese and Russian soldiers fought together against, Japan. But that history, how important is history when you look at the future of relations? Does it really matter so much? Because, a lot of Western countries, especially when we look at woke these days, the youngsters just want to know about what's happening today. They don't care what's happened in the past.
Elon Musk.
Is that
expensive
for Russia
cars.
And China
and Europe making deals
and history
recently, and as we've seen on that German Wave YouTube channel in the last couple of days, there's protests in Germany, three huggers in and around taking Elon Musk's factories down.
Europe at that time. And
call me crazy. That's where I draw that's the dots
actually
that I join.
Event happened here between two leaders.
No Alex Jones, no this lunatic over here or the other.
Is not
by
just
watching
that,
the news.
2010. These
the all this news that I'm watching on the
interweb,
it's probably available on TV, but the internet will still want all the talking heads on the interweb because they want you hits and clicks on their shit, give you time, and tell you, the news are all just lies and shit.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Strong ties indeed.
It's spin on what's happening.
We'll be definitely keeping an eye on
sometimes just
over the next
complete
couple of days.
fucking
thank you, Alex,
needed
reporter
advertising, you know, like
always a
yesterday
pleasure
for
talking to you, sir. Thanks again for your time.
Pleasure to talk to you. Take care.
But that's the difference between regurgitating
the US Secretary of State
and fear
took up a guitar
analysing
and played
shit,
rocking in the free world.
comparing notes,
continued support for Ukraine while its men are being literally dragged away by conscription officers and sent to the battlefield. Antony Blinken tried to make light of the situation.
I know this is a really, really difficult time. Your soldiers, your citizens, particularly in the Northeast and Kharkiv, are suffering tremendously. But they need to know, you need to know. The United States is with you. So much of the world is with you.
Doesn't he feel right, doesn't it though?
Ukraine's government has warned that every potential soldier should be ready to fight. Videos have surfaced on the internet showing men abducted on the streets to be sent to the front lines. Kyiv has even enacted a new law to draft men with physical and psychological disabilities. People who dare to film the abductions risk being beaten up by the authorities. A warning, you may find the following images distressing.
Oh wow, man, that means you can't turn away. That means you're just going to watch even more, doesn't it? Please don't let it be dead grannies in the street.
A young woman posted these disturbing photos on her social media page. She said that a conscription officer attacked her when she was filming her friend being...
Right, hello RT. Please sack this cunt. I'm English, not even Russian. The Russians are all half fucking baked, aren't they, with the vodka? Obviously, because stereotypes are real. Come from somewhere. This guy is worse than... I can understand Joe Biden better than I can understand this guy.
Dragged away to a recruitment centre. Investigators opened a case into the incident after it gained traction on social media. Anthony Blinken expressed support for the severe and controversial conscription laws.
Oh, cry, baby!
That Ukraine's sweeping military draft is a necessary measure.
Your recent mobilization was a difficult decision, but a necessary one. The defenders who have so courageously held the line for more than 2 years need help. They need rest.
It's playing to a domestic political audience here in the United States and to some degree a political audience in Europe. Look, if Tony Blinken was to be honest about what's happening in Ukraine right now, it's a strategic defeat for the United States, for NATO, for Europe, for the collective West. This is a disaster. The collective West under American leadership has poured hundreds of billions of dollars into propping up the Zelensky government in a failed effort to inflict a strategic defeat upon Russia. That's not my words. That's the goal set forward by the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, back in 2022. In this, they have failed. Russia not only has achieved, territorial success, liberating new territories in the Donbass, Kherson, Zaporizhia, securing Crimea, but Russia has mobilized its industrial potential from a military perspective, cranking out defense industry on a scope and scale that can't be matched by the West. And this puts the West at a strategic disadvantage as they try to cope with the consequences of what is a pending complete and total Russian victory on the battlefield in Ukraine.
Remember, he is on the Middle East as Israel celebrates the 76th anniversary of its national independence.
Apparently, there's still hope of a peace deal in Ukraine. So we do live in hope.
Palestinians experience a time of remembrance and loss, known as the Nakba, or catastrophe in Arabic. It commemorates the forced displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homes and land during the establishment of the State of Israel. RT's Maria Finoshina reports on how Israelis and Palestinians mark this key moment in their history.
Israel's Independence Day is
make
different
sense to
this
me,
year.
man. Like,
The war in Gaza,
it
the
would do a real
longest
big
and crisis
impact
Israel has
on
ever been
admissions
waging
if
in
that's
its
the
more than
problem
7
straight
decades long
away
history,
until
has
maybe
claimed more than
10, 20,
35,000
30 years time
Palestinian
when you
lives
can
in more than
slowly
7
and
months.
affordably bring
The
in
Israeli army has
infrastructure
lost more than
for electric
600 of
cars
its
in
men,
the
with
future.
scores of others injured. And this war continues with no sign of ending.
This year, under the shadow of the ongoing conflict, the traditional ceremony commemorating
Well, you
Israel's
can see Mr.
Independence
Vodka's
Day
on
here
Barry, but
at
you
the
can't hear
President's
him.
residence in Jerusalem is being attended only by families of outstanding soldiers.
He reminds me of the Harry Enfield character when he used to do an old British drunk country like my dick fell around and fighter. I was very, very, very drunk. I don't know if I'm making that up or that actually happened. I'm pretty sure Harry Enfield had a fucking
20 sources of comfort, 120 sources of hope.
100 kilometers away in Israel's north, there is another massive gathering with painful feelings, for a different reason. Most of these people hold Israeli passports, but for them, the creation of Israel is associated with a tragedy.
For Israelis, today is a day of celebrating 76 years since the establishment of their state. For Palestinians, most Israeli Arabs who also identify themselves as Palestinians, and even some Jews, it is a Nakba, or catastrophe in Arabic, marking the expulsion of hundreds of thousands of Arabs from their homeland back in 1948. We are now at the 27th March of Return, organized by different groups of activists from Jewish and Arab communities. They come here, many of them carrying Palestinian flags, as you can see, to remind everyone that there can be no celebrations until their rights of return are restored.
According to UN estimates, around the time when Israel was founded, more than 500 Arab towns and villages were forcibly depopulated. Most of them were destroyed and replaced by Israeli cities and towns.
They celebrate a country which is built upon a massive ethnic cleansing. And it's important to remember that this Nakba is not an historical event. The Nakba continues each and every day in the refugee camps in Gaza, where there is a genocide.
Soon
It's
Nakba will be
important, especially
anti-Semitic.
this year, to remember that about 80% of Gazans are actually refugees from ethnically cleansed villages all across of Palestine. The Nakba is now second-class citizens.
Ofer Kassif, member of the Israeli parliament from Jewish and
Hopefully I
Arab
can
Hadash party, a Jew himself, says
communicate
Israel has no reason to
trying my
celebrate.
hardest not to be
The state of
easily
Israel,
swayed.
in order to be really free,
I understand I
really
can be
independent,
swayed.
must
I think I've been
finish
swayed in the
with
past.
the occupation.
No
As
doubt
Karl Marx
I'll
said
be swayed in the
200 years
future
ago almost,
by
a nation that occupies another one,
people that are
itself
far more
will never
clever
be
out
free. As long as the
than me
Palestinian
out
people
there
is not independent, so
manipulating
the
truths,
Israelis are not independent either.
half-truths,
The
etc.,
Palestinian cause
etc.
has been there for decades, but Ofer warns that after Hamas's attack on Israel last October,
older I-
that led to the
and
Gaza
the
war
older I
and
get, the longer
dramatic
the tooth I get, and the
radicalization of
more I
both
see
Palestinian and Israeli societies, now
how
comes
things
a critical
do get
time.
manipulated, just
There is
know
a
what's and maybes
polarization
about
that
it.
was never here like we sense it today.
The
We
more
are
that I
on the brink of a
believe
civil
that
war within Israel.
when
The
World
risk
War II
is very
was coming to an end,
tangible. It may be tomorrow or in 1
because
month,
before
but
it
you can see
ended,
the
I'm pretty
level
sure
of
the
violence
people
in
at the
the
top would
streets,
have known that
not
was going to
only
end, if you get
in
me.
Gaza and the West,
And there would
West
have been a
Bank,
meeting of
but
minds
within
like,
Israel, you
right,
can see
how do
the
we do
level of
to
violence
achieve X,
is
Y,
on the
or Z?
rise.
Israel
How
marks
do we
its
sell
76th
this to
Independence Day, an
these
event that's
people, that
supposed to
people
unite
moving
the
forward?
public, but
What's our
society
objectives
remains
here?
very much divided over
How
what
do
the
we
state's
bamboozle
future
people?
will or should be. Some even say that Israel has split into two
What I'm
incompatible
saying
Jewish
is,
states over the ongoing war in Gaza
in a
and some
long-winded way, I'm
long-lasting
giving you the
issues.
women's version.
And that is what the current Israeli leadership should deal
Definitely
with.
believe what
The state
happened in and
today.
around, during,
Marie Finochenam,
after World
RT,
War
reporting
II.
from
There
Jerusalem
were dogs in the
and Northern
fights to
Israel.
contrive and control the narratives of it all.
Over to the
for
Caucasus
much
now,
larger
as we
reasons
see a
that we are
political
still
rift in
witnessing
the
to now.
Republic of Georgia. The
And then that
president
fits in
has
with like
promised
the overall
to veto
mosaic
new
that you might
legislation
get
that
about
would force foreign-funded NGOs to
Christendom
be more
as a
transparent
whole, with
about their
always
funding
different players in
and
it.
financing. But
They
the
want to
Prime
kick out the
Minister
Ottoman
says the
Empire,
measure
shut
is
down,
crucial for
put
the
down,
country's
weaken the
independence
Ottoman
and
Empire,
sovereignty.
the old remainders of it. Kick it out of that area of the world.
Today is the most important day in terms of strengthening the independence and sovereignty of our country. The
This is going
adoption
to
of
be a complete contrast
Northern Israel.
to the West. But hopefully I've explained
Over to the
myself.
Caucasus now, as we see a political rift in the Republic of Georgia. The president has promised to veto new legislation that would force foreign-funded NGOs to be more transparent about their funding and financing. But the Prime Minister says the measure is crucial for the country's independence and sovereignty.
Today is the most important day in terms of strengthening the independence and sovereignty of our country. The adoption of the law on transparency of foreign influence creates strong guarantees of long-term peace and tranquility in Georgia and to overcome so-called polarization. When the political opposition convinces its supporters of something and then they go out on the streets, this is an absolutely normal and healthy event. But the political minority cannot, in any case, force the political majority to accept or not accept a decision that serves to strengthen the state interests of Georgia. These decisions are made by the political majority.
Hundreds of pro-Western protesters blocked the main highway in the Georgian capital as Parliament approved the transparency bill. While tempers flared on the streets outside, lawmakers locked horns.
Barry, that's a good point, and I can definitely see where you're coming from. Where one never really ended. I think some of the agendas that were, and again, you can look at your history books and the typical narrative that's spun about how World War One and why World War One happened and started and stuff. But if you look a wee bit more, deeper, some people may say there's different theories. Some would say there are conspiracy theory, but that's all good goose for the gander, and we're far enough away now that you can actually get a wee bit more closer to what actually happened.
A little more about another
your typical stories,
on economic
your typical
projects.
The typical narrative in and around what happened prior, during, and after World War II. I think it's more.
If we are now regarded as
I think there's different theories to be had.
If the law goes
let's just say,
and
just throwing Hitler, Holocaust, anti-Semite, and all that jazz at people. And you're like, well, hold on a sec, man. I know I'm not fucking Nazis. I don't fucking hate any human being for any fucking reason. I think they're retarded for believing magic stories in the fucking sky. But I certainly don't hate anybody or wish any ill will, never mind death or anything on anybody. I don't know.
Says that while the president
only the cunts I
the
know and I
bill,
hate.
her veto could easily be overturned by Parliament.
I would agree that it's a kind of symbolic.
I think you really need to know somebody to wish death on them.
Ruling party can
there's my
overcome this veto, let's say like this, and she was telling about this in advance.
I've got a gas chamber here. I need to know if I like you first.
Supports this non-governmental organization, this opposition party, and but it's like Parliament will need like few days for this final approval. If this law is so dangerous for Georgia, so why they have countries, members of European Union with a similar law? I think it's more, it's manipulation and like expressing of double standards.
GG, you're right. The messaging wasn't off. World War I was the war that ended all wars.
It's definitely a website you should check out.
Get me the programme, Barry, fuck's sake. You know, read the... You know, get that newspaper.
When the world's largest democracy votes, the rest of the planet watches. In an emerging multipolar...
Right, I'm going to keep a wee eye on that. That's the Exunion, which coming out of Italy, China. Domain, nationality, China, server, location, Italy. Ah, the fucking mafia's in on these Chinese takeover fucking bids. Ah. Oh, look, that'd be cool, hang man, that looks cool. Anyway, zing time. Zings time. Anyway, that does look interesting. Keep a eye on that. Let's see if Press TV's Rumble thing is going to keep play ball. Might just get top of the hour news.
Process. More Sheikh Hamoud offers insights into the role of religious scholars across the Arab and Islamic world this week.
Oh, no, hold on, it just pauses, doesn't it? Oh. Yes! Top of the hour news. Get your pints of vodka ready. Maybe the RP presenter plays the dead baby and body game and that's why he's smashed all the time. Possibility.
First to be headlines.
Oh, look, this is pretty cool.
Strikes kill over 80 Palestinians across Gaza in a single
almost
day.
like a
the death
Marvel
toll from the
film,
machine's
man.
genocide nearly stands at 35,180. Rejecting Israel's claims about Gaza death toll, the World Health Organization says there is nothing wrong with the data provided by Palestinian sources. Also in the headlines, Iran strongly condemns Western countries' silence on Israel's violations of international law, saying that it encourages the regime to commit more war crimes.
Let's see if we see a wee bit of forehead by any of the hotties on Press TV.
A warm welcome to our studios here in the capital, Tehran. This is Press TV News. Thanks for joining us.
Right.
The U.S.-Israeli genocide.
I'm a one-man band, right? So my audio level's been off and all that jazz, man. I can understand.
Fresh attacks have targeted
Forget
a
to
number
put
of
the
areas across the
microphone on
Strip.
and cut nostrils and all
Gaza
that.
City, where a clinic
meant to be a
belonging to the UN
professional
Agency for
outfit.
Palestinian Refugees came under an airstrike. It killed at least 10 Palestinians.
Do you know
who
my
were
problem
taking
is?
shelter at the health
You
facility.
don't. No,
For more
most
about the
people
strike
don't
on the
listen to the
UNRWA
news in
clinic,
headphones.
as well as the ongoing genocide, we were
Do
earlier
you know what I
joined
mean?
by our Gaza correspondent, Mutiaba Musaba.
If I wasn't here listening to it on headphones, it probably wouldn't be that sensitive
When the
about
Israeli warplanes carried out
shite
an
audio.
airstrike against a clinic belongs to the UNRWA in a Sabra neighborhood in Gaza City. At least 10 Palestinian civilians were reportedly killed as an initial outcome. Dozens of the Palestinian people are still trapped under the rubble of that facility. So this is another attack added to the long history and the long record of the Israeli attacks against the international human rights organizations and the aid
Another attack
organizations
added
in
to the
Gaza.
long
Let me
history.
say that over the last couple of days, the Israeli occupation forces actually committed a massacre and carried out an abhorrent attack against a UN vehicle in Rafah, in the eastern part of Rafah. At least a Palestinian worker was reportedly killed, in addition to the injury of another foreign worker working at UN. So the Israeli attacks against the human rights organizations and the aid organizations are still underway, unabated. In the meantime, the Israeli fighter drones carried out several airstrikes against the Palestinian people in Azerbaijan.
Share the inside baseball, why not, man, right? So I just had a wee look at my tickety talks there. So I made the tickety talk about this, putting back China's Ukraine peace deal plan. Right? Hold on, you see this. Choking. Right, so that's quite a lot of interaction for tickety talk, for one of my tickety talks. right? And usually my tickety talks right now are getting throttled about 600. It's already went over the 700 mark. Right, TikTok, China, wee propaganda coup for China, swinging its stick in the international scene. Again, China swinging its stick, Taiwan, South China Sea, Africa, now Ukraine. Hold on. Good morning, boob tubes. Putin and China working together. So, China are making some big moves. They were in France, they were in Serbia, they were in Hungary, making deals. They are now... so it's good for a wee bit of interaction. Playing it on the big stage when it comes to the Ukraine. The Reuters headline, Putin backs China's Ukraine peace plan, says Beijing understands the conflict. So, Putler, in an interview early on Wednesday, said he backed China's plan for a peaceful settlement in Ukraine crisis. Says that the Chinese understand the conflict. There we go. I'm gonna say this is gonna get propagated a lot. And I don't know whether I said it out loud. What I meant to say out loud was that I've kind of witnessing the algo fucking wars. You know, like, participating in it, whereas like, you know, YouTube will promote this more than that, and then you say this, and YouTube will let that get more hits and clicks, and it's just, none of it's organic. At all. You'll have people that are able to come to your channel, repeat customers, but say, like, do you know how just that, like, playing with the algos, you know, the clickbait titles, the hits and the clicks, getting fucking straight out the traps and capturing that audience. I used to be great at it, man. Fucking, as soon as you seen something, boom, stick it out there, be the first to the plate. It's no longer like that anymore, man. If you're straight out the traps when a world event happens, and you make a video, it's like usually in TikTok or in Shorts, it processes for about fucking 6 minutes when it shouldn't be. Other clips just go straight up. But that's just me wearing my tinfoil hat. Right, what we went here?
To neighborhood before retreating and before withdrawing from Zaytun neighborhood. The Israeli occupation forces also detonated and destroyed an entire residential square in the Zaytun neighborhood. At least 5 Palestinian civilians were reportedly killed over the last night after the Israeli warplanes carried out an airstrike against a residential building in Al-Burej refugee camp.
The World Health Organization has voiced full confidence in death toll figures announced by the Gaza Ministry of Health after Israel raised questions about the numbers.
25,000 have been identified, 10,000 are still missing. And if you add, and if you look at the calculation of the figures, you will come to the point that you still have about 60% of the casualties being women and children. So
let's say the figures, let's say they're doubling it.
So
fucking more than it was killed in the creation of Israel, which is called the napkin. I mean the napkin.
The changes in casualty statistics during a war are natural.
Oh come on,
Tape! Also changed its own casualty statistics after review.
Oh, man.
Last week, after the Gaza Health Ministry released new and different statistics on the number of war casualties, the Israeli regime accused it of lying because the number of women and children was less than what had been previously announced. The Israeli military has confirmed the first fatality among its soldiers in Rafah since the regime launched an invasion of the city over a week ago. The soldier was killed as Palestinian fighters are putting up stiff resistance to the invading forces in Rafah, the city crowded with some 1.4 million Palestinians, the majority of them refugees. Earlier, the military wing of the Hamas resistance movement said that it killed 7 Israeli soldiers in a close combat in Gaza, which the regime is yet to confirm. The military has so far acknowledged the death
When's the government? Not the government.
Since it
When
launched
is
a
the
ground offensive against
regime?
Gaza in late October. But resistance groups and several media outlets say the regime is downplaying the actual number
The
of
regime?
fatalities among its troops to
play
cover
the
up
regime
failure in
drinking
Gaza
game now as
and to
well?
avoid the Israeli public outrage. Today marks the 76th anniversary of Nakba Day, or the Day of Catastrophe, which refers to the mass displacement and dispossession of Palestinians after the creation of Israel in 1948. People around the world, especially Palestinians, mark the occasion every year. However, the pain of this anniversary is amplified this year by Israel's ongoing genocide in Gaza. Israel was created by Western colonialists in 1948 at the expense of expelling more than 750,000 Palestinians from their homeland and destroying Palestinians' villages and towns. Palestinians are enduring the repercussions of this catastrophe to this day, but the descendants of displaced Palestinians still hope to return to their homeland. On Tuesday, thousands of Palestinians commemorated Nakba as they marched through the ruins of villages and northern occupied territories from where thousands of people were expelled.
Man, come on! I've still got a wee bit. Still got a month and a half for this loser to call a fucking general election. Then you're going to have summer campaigning.
I'm here to show solidarity and support to my Palestinian brothers and
Is that a
sisters
pirate bunny
in their
or a...
fight, for the right to return
My
to their
dad
stolen land.
used to have one of them that we got in Egypt when we were over in Egypt.
That began in
Whole
48,
fucking Arab headdress. I don't know if it was black and white. I can't remember if it was the same
in
pattern.
every way
I don't know the
possible,
significance, but it was
in
for
the West
Egypt.
Bank, in the
Fucking
first
man of my
genocide in
fucking
Gaza and
siblings
in
is blagged that along
the
the way
oppression
into
of
the
Palestinians inside the
Black
Green
and
Lines.
black. That meant more to me. Yeah.
They chanted anti-Israeli slogans and demanded an end to the decades-long occupation of their ancestral land. International solidarity was also evident as demonstrations took place in cities like Madrid and New York City to commemorate
But
this
do you
day,
think the
Palestinian
European
cause.
Union's going to ignore Gaza today? It's off the UK news cycle. They're just completely
Born several
blank
years
it.
before the Nakba of the Palestinians in 1948 in a village called Al-Malhani.
And Nakba seems to be word of the day on Al Jazeera and Press TV,
who
doesn't it?
lives in Al-Amhani refugee camp in the occupied
100%.
West Bank, says she's older than the Israeli occupation itself. She said because of the mass crimes committed then, she was forced to leave her hometown along with her family and relatives. She hoped they never fled. And that's why she says the people of Gaza have learned from history very well. Despite the Israeli crimes, they prefer to die rather than leaving Gaza.
What is going on in Gaza is heartbreaking. There are massacres. They are slaughtering everyone. It's more awful than what happened in the Nakba, and the people there refuse to leave. Yes, I still remember the news about the massacres that took place in
exact
Deir
same
Yassin. The people kept saying
points
that
of
the
Al
armed
Jazeera,
Israeli
innit?
gangs killed all the women and all the men. We fled, thinking it would be for several days. We might not return, but our sons and our grandsons will return to Al-Mahla. It's our homeland. It's Palestine.
And that's why this war will continue to go on. And go on, and it's very easily predictable.
And they return to their villages. While the first and second generations could not return, the people are pinning their hopes on younger Palestinians. They insist that what happened
all the babies
in
they're spewing
1948 will
out
never be
to
repeated.
fuel
And the
the
refugee
future
camps will
wars.
always be seen as transitional stations.
During the war in 1967, my father refused to be expelled again. He said it was a huge mistake to leave our town, Nahani, in 1948. He said he should have stayed there to live or die. I repeat his words, I will not leave Palestine. I will die here and be buried here. Look at what's going on in Gaza. The people are being killed, but they have decided not to leave. They have decided not to repeat the Nakba of 1948.
The Palestinian refugees have always been adherent to the right of return to their homes and towns. Experts say that Palestinians, wherever they are, continue to face Israeli injustice and crimes and have so far thwarted the regime's plans to displace them from Gaza.
Since 1948, Palestinians have continued to suffer from the consequences of the Nakba. Palestinian refugees have not found a way to settle because they have not abandoned their right to return to their villages and towns. This year has been one of the most difficult and hardest for Palestinians, especially for those in Gaza. People there are facing killing, terrorization, and displacement. However, the majority are choosing not to flee, which proves that the Israeli regime's plans have failed.
For some, Nakba is about a historical event that took place more than 7 decades ago and led to the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. For the Palestinians here in the densely populated refugee camps, Nakba started then but never ended. A lifetime has passed since the Nakba in 1948, and the displaced and their descendants continue to fight for the right of return to historic Palestine. Today, all Palestinians are part of the resistance against Israel and its vicious plans to expel more people from their lands in the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and Al-Quds. Mona Qandil for Press TV, Al-Am'ari refugee camp, South-occupied Al-Biri city.
South-occupied.
Thousands of Palestinians in the refugee camps in Lebanon are commemorating the 1948 Nakba, or catastrophe, which was coined after Israeli armed militias killed hundreds of Palestinians and expelled thousands from their land.
Now, you might look at that and go, that's horrible, they're just creating the next generation of militants.
Resistance. This is an enemy that only understands the language of armaments. This is an enemy that stole Palestine
as in the boys on fucking brigade, and that's exactly what we used to do. Christian soldiers, Prodi, Christian soldiers.
More than ever before, and with the Palestinian resistance inflicting heavy losses on the Israeli military killing machine, Palestinians have a growing hope of liberation.
Before, the Zionists were so arrogant and thought they were invincible that no one dared come close to them. But now we're breaking their morale and their will. Now our dream of liberation is closer than ever before. God willing, we're very close to victory. All this blood that
God
has been
willing,
shed will
we're
be
going to have
fruitful,
victory.
and the fruit
I'm
will be
gonna,
liberation,
God willing,
and
if
we
there was
will
a fucking
celebrate
God,
this
mate,
victory,
the shitholes
along with our
that
brothers in
fucking,
Al-Quds.
the shit that's going on wouldn't be happening. You
They say they are fighting Hamas and Islamic Jihad, but they are liars and cowards. They are committing ethnic cleansing because they are killing women, elderly, and children, and they're bombing hospitals and schools.
What supporters of the Palestinian cause have
Mate,
been attempting
can
to
you
tell
see
the world
how-
about the 1948 Nakba
the
has
buzzwords?
been proven by Israel itself, with a
It's like
genocidal
Boy Scout
war that rages
outfits.
on.
Well, there's a couple with blood all over it.
We
That
are
was
originally
lovely.
from Akka, and I want to tell all Palestinians and resistance fighters and all those defending this cause all over the world that God is with us. And soon you will see
Fuck
us
off about your
reunited with
fucking
our
magic
brothers
men in the
inside
sky, you
Palestine.
fucking Fruit Loops. Oh my lord, man. See when the real fucking Mac Daddy comes down, man, what a fucking shit all. I'm the God of the Old Testament, man, going to shit all over you, fucking backwards fucking morons, man. Fucking virgin births. Fucking God is great. My missile wouldn't do what it's doing if it wasn't for God. Fucking hell, man. Oh.
Israeli military has
Tell you what,
clearly
man,
outlined a
people are
renewed
lucky.
strategy to
There's
expel
mechanisms to keep
as
me
many
away from being
Palestinians as
dictator.
possible from Gaza. This time around, the Palestinians say
Cost benefit analysis, man. I'd be like AI. Like, wipe these fucking idiots out. Every last one of them. Fuck it, man. What the fuck are you going to do, man? Going to keep growing up fucking thinking those fairy stories are fucking real?
To resist any attempt at expulsion or displacement, even if it means facing death by the thousands or bearing the agony of separation.
Run into the fire, you fucking idiots.
Press TV from the Shatila refugee camp in Beirut.
Such a shame how fucking religion affects everybody, man. Such a
76
shame.
years have
Or
passed
organised
since the Nakba
religion.
of Palestine in 1948, when Palestinians were forcibly displaced from their land. However, they carried their homeland in their hearts and created a reality in refugee camps.
I've had enough death and destruction
Targeting
from
their
them all, I
camps
think.
with terrorism.
Right, did the Palestinian grow a carrot or something today? Is there, like, was there funny pets? Sky News gave us funny pets yesterday. Here's a guy in Manchester.
We also have Jahangir
Look,
Mohammed, Director
I
of
think
the
he owns
Center
a
for Muslim
kebab
Affairs,
shop.
joining us from Manchester.
His
Welcome to you both.
default
Barry
position's
Grossman,
fucking
taking a look
Jabba
at
the
what,
Hutt's
the Nakba
smile.
is all about.
Was he
quite
so
incredible
fat
that
he
after
can't
76
smile?
years, We have seen how Palestinians have endured the apartheid policies of the Israeli regime, and there has not been any.
See, there is really some. There's this dried up American.
And the Zionist terrorism, which gave rise to it, was already in 1947, to the point where even the President of the United States, Harry Truman, the new president, unilaterally changed American policy from supporting the UN-sponsored partition into instead looking at making Palestine an international protectorate. Somehow that all went out the window. He had refused to receive any Zionist guests until suddenly.
Wait, Hollywood actor, does he look a ball hair like?
The occupation likes to call
if you can put
a deal was done. He was up for election. There had been 2 attempts on his life by the Stern Gang or the successors of the Stern Gang. And of course, the United States was one of the first, if not the first nation to recognize the establishment of a state called Israel. But he deliberately crossed out on the recognition of that state, the fact that it was somehow a Jewish state. Ever since then, the tactics used by the occupiers haven't changed. It's always been terrorism, theft, some version of cultural cleansing, and nothing's changed. And the international community has, from the beginning, right up until today, failed miserably, because the institutions responsible for administering international law and international standards of morality are ultimately under the boots of the Atlantic world superpowers. That remain to be the United States primarily, followed by Great Britain, and then somewhere tagging behind there, France. So it's very difficult. And of course, the project itself, the Zionist project, was always a way for Europe to unload what they considered their Jewish problem on Palestinians and on the Arab world. And in fact, one of the leading terrorists of the time, Zionist terrorists, Yitzhak Shamir, had a breakaway group that approached both the Mussolini and the Nazi regime in order to work with them to achieve their objectives. All of this, of course, is lost. We're told time and time again that we need to look with a very narrow lens on what's happening and forget everything that happened before. So we're told, for example, that this current
I could be a talking head on Press TV,
is a response to October 7, but we can't look at what October 7 was a response to. The Nakba didn't stop in 1949. It continued after that, and indeed continues today. And now
I do know that fucking saying. I do know exactly what you mean, but fucking hell, man, it paints a fucking picture.
And deaths, body count, if you like. But nothing changes, because ultimately, this is an Atlantic world project led by the world's superpowers to offload their problem, their so-called Jewish problem, on the rest of the world, and then use them to control the Arab world. Well, that's just not.
Oh my God, man, he's been fucking watching my fucking fuck you, motherfucker.
To act together and starts to behave responsibly as being part of the Ummah, instead of having a bunch of royalists running around living a life that's high on the hog.
I would have better audio.
And filling their days with luxuries and gold toilets and flying in women to play with. The time will come, and I think it's near, where if the leadership of the Arab world won't do what's required of them, the people are ready to march and demand that they do. And slowly we're seeing changes. We see, for example, that Egypt this week changed its position and decided to sign on to the case at the International Court of Justice.
Right.
And I think we're going to slowly see that happening throughout the Arab world. And what is clear is that the tide of public opinion has swung hard against the occupying regime. But the Nakba continues. It was horrific. By the end of 1948, these so-called refugees had taken 78% of Palestinian lands violently. Those people who left to save their lives in the expectation that they would be permitted to come back. Instead, we have to watch videos of old men with no teeth who were terrorists in their day, bragging.
That's my joke about Tommy Robinson's cult, you prick. I've been watching my channel, 100%. I know it.
It's entirely unacceptable. Quite properly, anybody who's
stealing all my stick.
That was somehow connected with the Nazi regime in World War II is still hounded, even if they're over 100 years old. And
he seems a wee bit more fucking hook, line and sinker, and it's all the Jews and shit than me. But
terrorists who murdered thousands of Palestinians, raped many more, and completely depopulated something in the range of 600.
Oh, the initial Zionist terrorists.
And towns
wasn't they? I are rare. It was oh, what was that? No, it was the SAS, so it would have been a Scottish accent.
The winds of change are blowing.
Oh yeah.
John Mohammed, the forced displacement and another Nakba is what the
Israeli
forces
Palestinians. That's who trained all the initial
reports also indicated that they want to do that
Israeli
to the Palestinians in the occupied West Bank
invaders.
with the backing of the U.S.
Zionist regime invaders.
It's not going to happen.
Have to
What do you
keep up,
think?
man. Modern
Well,
day
I think
dictionary.
the lesson of the Nakba is with
The Nakba.
with
That's
the
my stick
Palestinians,
as well. Oh, the Nakba.
especially in Gaza, and
As long as he doesn't start calling it napkin.
they
then he'll
know
start
that
getting
they
annoyed.
were displaced, 750,000
The sassy.
people, 500 villages, massacres occurred in those villages in
Oh, them get
Tantura,
sass.
Deir Yassin, and about 28 other villages with mass graves and similar type of things that are happening now. But this time, the Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank have determined that they will not.
He's in
flee.
Manchester. Could have been listening to my shit. Easy peasy.
They've taken the lesson
Some people
from
said
the Nakba,
they can hear me
that if they
from
flee
Manchester.
and leave, they will be permanently refugees, and Israel will not allow them back, and at great cost to themselves. And in fact,
Mate, your microphone sounds like it's in the corner of the room in your state. You're in a fucking
in Gaza to date, that the Palestinians, despite the incredible suffering, despite the barbarity and cruelty of the Israeli regime, they have determined that they would rather die on their land.
Oh, you can hear the man
for their
coming,
children to be martyred, for them to be martyred, than leave this time and expose the Zionist regime and the occupation forces for what they really are. So Gaza today is a window
Then which is
for
grown
what
up like,
happened
hey,
in
just stop
1948.
being our fucking martyr for the cause.
And we see exactly the same
See, 2 bobs.
response
From
the
I can
Western
count.
backers,
The one
just
stone.
as the British saw a Zionist enclave in the middle of the Muslim world, like a little Ulster, as they called it, in Ireland, to control Ireland. This was to control the resources, the seas, the Red Sea, and around there, and control the oil flow of oil, and keep the local the states under their control.
The fucking temple of the fucking groundhog me, man.
Britain eventually passed on the baton to the United States. And both of them are still doing exactly the same. The Zionist regime
must be
and the Zionists are still doing the same thing, committing the same
away from my
crimes
front door
and horrors. So we should
after doing 8
remember the Nakba, but remember that an even bigger
it's pissing down the rain. The tyres that are on my bike look fucking super fantastic, but they're more for off-road than on tarmac.
Resistance in the region,
especially wet tarmac. And it's got disc brakes, which stop like that. And unfortunately, it's a bike, so it ain't got any ABS.
Part of the US
and
empire,
my bonnet came off. Tried to catch my bonnet.
All right, thank you so much for that. Let me thank Barry
disaster
Grossman,
then
international
fucking
lawyer
came
from
off.
Bali, Indonesia, and also Jahangir Mohammed, the Center for Muslim Affairs from Manchester. Thank you to you both. And with that, we come to an end for this news review.
Links that fucking connect that. Rattled my elbow. God knows how I hurt there as well, but I did. And plus felt like a right walloper. And I had to cycle home
with vast oak forests,
lovely,
gaping
fresh
gorges,
blood,
and amazing
dripping
waterfalls.
oil the gas. Great fun. And I was, as I said, 100 metres fucking to the fucking finishing line. I told the mate last night, fucking first thing.
Where heaven and earth meet each
Pity you're only recording. Aye, my fucking arm's fucking broke here, man. I've got a fucking glass eye and a wooden leg. You fucking, but I'm gutted it wasn't recording, man. It would have been a crack clip. They got that into Jenny Pedo and everything. Right. So, let's go and check out. Hopefully, this might work. Oh, I know it'll work, but talking about our news.
30 minutes on DW.
It seems to have just went live. Anywho, let's see if they talk about Gaza. Oh, that looked like it there, didn't it? Is this it? No, that's not it. This is it.
Why do squeeze get ready to divert about the
It is lovely.
The German wave. Get ready for your German wave. Beep, boop,
DW News coming to you live from Berlin.
This is subliminal shit. That's why the BBC do the same thing.
Weeks of protests. Thousands block a major traffic junction as lawmakers agree restrictions on media and other groups that get funding from abroad. Western nations warn the proposed law could jeopardize relations. Also coming up, Israeli tanks push deeper into southern Gaza, reaching residential areas.
They haven't forgot about Gaza, right? So the European Union hasn't forgot about Gaza. Doha hasn't forgot about Gaza. But the UK has.
Fall under the authority of the monarchy.
Right,
Palestinian flags are technically prohibited, and the Jordanian police is in charge of security. But
Right, let's not go to the mind
and my magazine program.
That stuff, because you might actually start figuring out what's going on better than just, oh, it's the crazy Arabs killing the Jews. I mean, if you listen to the dumbed down fucking, I'm sorry, man, if there's any Yankee Doodle spastics watching this, but man, honestly, American. I would like to think the media isn't reflective of your average American. The media is dumbed down from my best vantage point. Granted, I'm not in the States, and I've got no subscriptions other than Netflix. But I feel sorry for the fucks. Fucking race baiting, fucking selling you drugs. We think we've got it bad over here with a couple of wee native ads yesterday for fucking fat jabs. America has that like 24/7. I can even remember that from watching their TV when I was there in 92, Florida. You'll just be watching the TV in the hotel, and every advert would be selling you fucking
Welcome back to The World Today here on France 24. This hour featuring our People and Profit and
all right, Hector
Spectre. Stay with us for both of those. First, though, we're going to bring you the main news headlines and start off by bringing you some images coming into us. This is a 1 minute silence is beginning right across France. These images, first of all, coming into us from Normandy, which is where those two prison officers who were
I think we should clone Judge Dredd, send them to every country in the world.
From the south of France. It says a major manhunt is still underway here in France as police continue to hunt for a group of gunmen who killed 2 police officers and freed a convict linked to gangland drug killings. We'll bring you the latest on that in just a moment. At least 2 people confirmed to have died as gunshots are still being heard and schools remain shut in the capital of the French Pacific island of New Caledonia. That is France's National Assembly here in Paris has approved controversial changes to voting rules.
We even fucking name the fucking areas that we give to the frogs.
Palestinians were forced from their homes. Already thousands of people taking part in a march.
So the frogs are talking about
villages that Palestinians were expelled from.
That's China. I'm not expecting much for China. I'm a bit lost. There God, is this the top of our news? No, it's not. Let's see if Nigel Vag. Oh, Nigel, these people will not be talking about Israel. Right, in fact, this is a good word. This is worthwhile touching base with these 2 fucking sad excuses, really sad excuses as a news outlets, man. And I like, let's not even use the word news in the same bracket. There's fucking Nigel Vag himself. Yes, here's me with a pint, man of the people, the People's News Channel. Now here's Michael Portillo. Blah, blah, blah. Fucking big fucking gay conservative fucking cockfest. What the fuck? I don't meet many of those people in the boozers I fucking drinking. Fucking big fucking conservative homosexual fucking look at my fucking blazer cunts. Nah, it's not the people I hang about with.
72 different
sex education. Yep. It's more important than fucking genocide, motherfuckers.
Weber, she's an amazing woman.
Look,
Barnaby, of course, was the 19-year-old who was one of 3 people killed in Nottingham last year by Baldo Calicani.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
What do you think of it?
Royal worship that we've just seen.
I love it. It's the first.
It made me fucking throw the
since the coronation. It's been unveiled at Buckingham Palace.
Now check this big fucking turkey teeth highlighted fucking. I'm not having a midlife crisis, motherfucker.
2 men will appear in court today accused of felling the world-famous Sycamore Gap tree last September. Do you remember that? I, for one, am interested to know why they did it.
Why would they? And reuniting the rights. Jacob Rees-Mogg
said
his plan to increase the Tory party's election chances.
Do you not think fucking Nigel Vag will start growing? The People's Channel! The People's Channel, the demon headmaster. Right, see the kind of people where I'm from? This is the pedos that fucked you when you were in school. Creepy fucks like that. If I was to judge people on looks, which I do, he is a fucking major pedo.
Wants to come back as leader.
Country's fucking.
Jacob, are there no women? Is there not a single woman in that,
she's
in that
alright,
area that you think would make a good job?
She's a good-looking woman.
I'm sorry, it just really struck me.
She gets a pass.
Right, let us know your thoughts this morning.
I don't really hear what she's saying.
Your say. First, the very latest.
That dude. We's turkey. Oh, dude.
A very good morning. It's 10:10. I'm Aaron Armstrong. The policing minister says new technology will help tackle crime.
AI
believes its investment of $3.5.
That's what we need. We need fucking a Johnny cab. Hello there. Can I take you to your destination? Yes, I want to solve knife crime. Okay, strap yourself in.
£1 million in developing technologies will help police detect suspects carrying knives from a distance. Just over half.
Oh my god! Nailed it! We're going to have fucking Puerto Rico style fucking scanners where they can see your bones and your boner. Well, with me anyway. Right through your clothing. In fact, hold on. Am I not tripping? I think I'm tripping. They have actually got that. Is the TSA not installed that in America? Where, man? I hope I'm just thinking of a different dimension. Your poor scanners. And then I'll look for some visual aids. What is it? The TSA? Alex Jones made sure I knew their name. What the fuck is that? It makes you into a fucking what the fuck? Right, shows what it. There we go. Right, it shows you your fucking cock and all that. Boom! I'm having recall about Total Recall, and my recall is telling me Total Recall was fucking on the fucking button. Uh-oh. And we nearly had Schwarzenegger as president. If it wasn't for his SS Nazi roots, the world could have been a better place. Anyway, joke.
£1 million is going to be given to the Met to fund 4 more vans equipped with live facial recognition.
Yes, they're going to shut down home base and B&Q and everything. Yes, all these kids. Like, see these zombie knife fucking shit. It's just fucking young boys swinging their dicks. The same argument goes with fucking guns, doesn't it? What you're going to do is punish the innocent while the people who really want to stab people are going to go about. Let's see, back in the day before the internet, man, all the blades that used to get carried were for hunting shops, your lockbacks, your hunting knives, which won't be banned under this, and kitchen knives. You know, and there was more stabbings in my areas back in the day than there is now, even with the advent of this shit.
Making an enormous difference includes things like knife scanning technology. I was seeing a demonstration just yesterday in the Home Office of a handheld scanning device being developed by an American company, which could be ready
Answers in a postcard, stick it in the chat. What the fuck does this cunt look like?
This year, that will enable officers
he's
to
the worst speaker. He's the worst speaker ever. Oh my god, man. This is what our government's offering us up.
Scan people as they're walking down the street to see if they are carrying a knife. That could have an enormous impact on public safety.
Well, laws around zombie knives, machetes and...
Oh my lord, so you're going to bounce into your high street, you're going to have to go through some scanners, it's going to fucking check out your dick and whether you're... the vape... Oh no, look what I've done to my vaporizer yesterday, falling off my bike. That screen used to be a motherfucking screen. So the thing still works, I just can't see what it's doing. My lord, man, this is some fucking... Are people like reading these scientific dystopian future novels and going, that's a good blueprint?
Swords are also due to be tightened from September. Shadow Minister Nick Thomas Simmons says the government isn't doing enough.
You may take my life, you fucking took my freedom, but you'll never take my Claymore!
On stop and search that is intelligence-led,
stop and search.
Is a really tool. And
big fucking, big massive fucking
constabulary independent organisation.
Hold on there a second.
Looking at this, saying that what's essential is that it is done in that targeted way.
We get my
way when it isn't evidence-based, it does lead to a lack of community
You
confidence.
have there a 5-foot fucking Claymore there, sir?
Essential.
Aye, it's a fucking Claymore, man.
New proposals that will ban schools in England from teaching students about gender identity.
Can we stop and search it there, sir? No, it's all right, man. It's my Claymore.
The Prime Minister ordered a review into relationships, sex and health education last year over concerns some kids were being taught inappropriate content.
I'm a founding father of Estonia. I'm a sovereign man. I've held my own elections, unopposed I might add, just like Putler.
Ministers will reportedly say gender
identity this is my Claymore to protect myself against the fucking unarmed enemy.
More food parcels were handed out over
Viva the Estonia!
Before. The Trussell Trust says it donated more than 3 million emergency packages in the year to the end of March, as the cost of living puts more households under strain. More than 1 million of those were for children, and the overall total has doubled from 5 years ago. The Trust's head of policy, Helen Barnard,
go and check some of the pictures that you get.
Deficiencies in our welfare system.
With these
it's more than the cost of living crisis and the pandemic, because this trend was starting before even COVID hit. So over 5 years,
you can kind of see
we found that the need has doubled the number of food parcels we're having to provide.
I mean,
because it's what we've really seen. Is
okay, Mrs. Mohammed, you're free to wear your burqa. Just go through this fucking scanner so we can see that you've got tits. And you're no Mr. Mohammed hiding under a fucking post box.
2 men will appear in court later charged with criminally damaging the famous Sycamore Gap tree.
There's the Dick Sand fucking.
And the 31-year-old Adam Crothers.
Just to make sure your balls are your balls and not fucking bags of cement, dynamite.
For more than 200 years until it was cut down last year, sparking a national outcry.
That looks like an alien. That's not even a human being that's been scanned.
Comedy Legally Blonde, it is returning to screens in the form of a prequel series. Actress Reese Witherspoon made the announcement on social media, and the character she portrayed in 2000.
Remember, this is news.
Bending and snapping her way back to the small screen in a series titled Elle. The 48-year-old was the original producer of the series, which will premiere on Amazon's Prime platform.
Is that?
Well, for the latest stories, you can sign up to GB News Alert, scan the QR code.
Who's the one that doesn't even look the same?
Our website has more details. Now back to Andrew and Bev.
Something about Mary? Oh, is that the wrong one? It's when she gets cum in her hair.
The time is now 10:06. You're listening to Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
No, I'm leaving.
I left a lost remote control. I'm sure you can relate at home. It's sometimes down the back of the sofa. Now, Valdo Calcane's sentence for killing 3 people in a knife rampage in Nottingham last summer was found not unduly lenient by judges.
Dressmakers honestly make wee pockets for the nipples, or do the nipples just can't help?
Guilty to the manslaughter of the students Barnaby Webber, Grace and Mary Kumar, and the school caretaker Ian Coates.
So the families of the victims
that would have been a good poll question. What would you have done with this cunt?
Joining us now is
they're saying he's a paranoid fucking schizo, and they've locked him up in a fucking.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Not bar ward for the rest of his life, pretty much, because his condition is uncurable. That's why they put him in a hospital prison instead of a normal prison. Because he'd be a fucking danger to the normal prisoners because he's a fucking uncurable paranoid schizophrenic. And it's getting wrapped up because he's a brown looking, crazy Abdul looking cunt, and that's why these people are promoting it.
We were in talks
also, as well, it promotes Broken Britain and
we were not expecting anything
new Muslim
than the outcome
mayor of London is
I think we've hopefully made it very
ticks a lot
clear
of boxes, and that's why
all
they're
3 families united
giving it time. It isn't really that hard to uncipher.
The plea of
GB News. Just check the cut of their jib
alongside the attempted murder charges, and we feel it's the result of a very, very flawed and failed police investigation and a weak on us. I think with what probably
it's like a big stoned fucking
June for this individual being out in the community in the first place.
Did she hear me? Did she just move to hide her nipples?
The 13th, it's not just so we have to
she's listening.
And first, to us, I think the only way we'll ever get answers for ourselves, justice, and also public safety and changes is
what's to get away completely.
Answers for herself. It's a paranoid schizophrenic that went out and murdered cunts. He's locked up now for fucking good. And the reason he's went to a hospital jail instead of a normal jail is because they fucking...
When you're in this busy...
Two judges in an appeal court have fucking went like, the guy's fucking nuts, he's uncurable. It would be against the public safety to put him in a jail. Because they classify prisoners as members of the public, which funny enough they are sometimes.
Possibly better at night.
I think you'd be in a jail with a paranoid schizophrenic.
We've made it
Somehow, some way, they're moulding this into some sort of a scandal.
To our questions.
Obviously, the parents are fucking... The families and whatnot are fucking distraught because they're getting the appearance of it not being severe enough. Right? What would you do with this cunt? It's either kill him...
We cannot...
Right?
Which
in my dictatorship I'd be open for that discussion.
And everything, but all we can do
I think ultimately my sympathy would fucking weigh out and I'd go, right,
to the first anniversary, which is going to be the worst first of them all.
Do you kill cunts for being nuts?
I know.
Right. Then you can investigate the motherfuckers that let them slip through the system and thus be fucking out on the streets in the first place.
GCSE as I speak to you, which he's utterly thrilled about.
Right, man, it's just heartstrings and family photos, fuck's sake. Oh, they actually got her greeting. Well done there, nipples.
Interview saying I've seen her and
she's got 3 nipples.
Remarkable.
She's amazing.
She's got her tit nipples, and then look on her left-hand nipple. She's got a second nipple.
Get through any day.
Hold on. This I'm a documentary maker. Look, I'm making a documentary about do women have 3 nipples, which I do know to be real. Look, she's got a nipple there. Only people in HD will get this. Then she's got her boob nipple there. Then she's got her other boob nipple. But our right hand nipple's a wee bit with nipple watch. That's it. I'm not fucking putting on fucking GB news again. Too much titillation on the PoliTITS.
And just on that,
with a boob.
So they
talk about PoliTITS.
Administrative responsibility manslaughter, which means he can't get a whole life sentence.
PoliTITS.
The judge said likely he'll be in prison for the rest of that, but that doesn't mean he will be. But they upheld the sentence of attempted murder for driving the van, Ian's van, at 3 people. So why is one attempted murder and the other one not murder? It makes no sense.
The fact that he's able to...
You know your teeth and hair, mate?
Yeah.
You know there's your teeth and hair and your big cuffs and your cufflinks and all that, trying to project that I'm not fucking...
That makes my blood boil.
I'm not in the way out.
It's costing us around £350,000 a year.
It's all wrapped up with brown people and boats.
It's absolutely wrong, and it's all very well to watch a judge in court looking very serious and very professional and saying they listened to the doctors, we listened to...
Right, listen up here, tits. I'm not even going to refer to you as toots. You're going to be known as tits. Listen up here, tits. What would you do? You're criticising what's been done. What would you do? Again, in my dictatorship, very welcome. Like, you'd either be deaf or fucking lock him up in a loony bin. Right, that's it. I certainly wouldn't put a paranoid diagnosed by many people, lots of different fucking people, by the prosecution and the defence, as a fucking paranoid schizophrenic. The untreatable paranoid schizophrenic. So either kill these motherfuckers and just show get your swastikas on your elbows, you wee pair of fucking Nazi fucking mouth fucking pieces. Or you go like that, here, I've got a fucking heart. This cunt is nuts. He shouldn't see the light of day again. Indefinite loony bin for him. Why are you sending him in the loony bin, not the prison? Because he's a danger to prisoners within the prison system. Within the prison system, he can stop taking his medication. Within a fucking loony bin, he's fucking like that, strapped, and you're taking it, you cunt. Right? And somehow, some way, these fucking assholes, tits and fucking teeth. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's a show, tits and teeth. Fuck, that is a show. This is a show. Tits and fucking teeth. So tits and teeth here, are somehow trying to spin this into some sort of a, oh my god, we should have put him in the electric chair. Well, go balls out then and tell us that's what you're fucking suggesting then. That's what your editorial little fucking Z-Cow, fucking Nigel Vag Dangleberry, fucking pathetic piece of shit, fucking news channel is all about. Fucking tits and teeth. Come on, tits and teeth. Tell us what we should have done. Seek out the fudge.
We've heard from the doctors, completely different. When you see the victim and you see the mother and you see her crying, it's not right.
And 12 sessions with...
What's not right? What's not right? You're fucking right tit isn't he right? Because it's half a wee bit to the left hand. I can tell. That's what's not right. Your left tit ain't right because it's a wee bit skewith. Oh, man. Fucking morons, man. But they're doing a good job. Do you know what I mean? Their job is to fucking...
therapist.
Love to hate them. That's it. Fix your hair, toots.
Yeah.
Tits.
That's enough, is it?
Awful. Right.
Awful.
Time for a quick break.
Awful.
Time is.
I need a break, man, but I can still see your nipples.
Well, we broke the internet last weekend with my suggestion that Harry...
Yes, we broke the internet the other week with my suggestion that I'm some sort of news. Look at this, I'm the people's channel. I don't know about you. The kind of people that I knew in my school got their cunt kicked in every fucking day. Boom, 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 point Dexter. Hey, look at me, I'm a little fucker. I'm a human calculator with no fringe.
should be staying at his old family home in central London. Take a listen.
Yeah, take a listen. I don't know about you, everybody that sounded like me growing up didn't get bullied.
Harry will not be accommodated at
Oh my god, what is that? Oh, let me get it right. Harry that fucking went after phone hacking scumbags in the fucking in the press, members of, in the right wing press, members of, is now enemy number one in what? The right wing press. Funny that, but this is the people's channel. If you're a Nazi or a fascist, these are your kind of people, right? Look at them. See if these motherfuckers got in charge. See all the motherfuckers that got them in fucking. See all the people that they're grooming with this channel. We'd be the first fucking ones stuck on the fucking pyre. The fucking mentally ill and the fucking unproductive members of society, according to them. Fucking left to die. I mean, look at the Conservative policies. Look at the amount of fucking people that they deem unworthy. These cunts are worse.
Buckingham Palace, even though it's emptier than a branch of Wilco's.
Right, Prince Harry, he's just demonising Prince Harry while something bought Prince Charles's baby.
Debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact has that had?
We got death threats and the bomb threats on.
Our job is to do what's in the best interest of our country.
You made my argument for me. My guest and I tackle the issues that really matter.
Yeah,
with a
People's
sharp take
Channel.
on every
The
story.
People's Channel.
The country. That was a beginning.
I know hundreds of people that
From 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Oh no, the People's Channel made that up.
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Well, it depressed me.
I made that up.
Right, we are joined in the studio now by Mike Parry and former Labour MP
Oh,
Stephen
brilliant, man. Look at this old fuck.
Gentlemen, should we talk about
He
how
drinks
to
petrol in the morning.
unite the right, or how Jacob Rees-Mogg thinks the right should be united?
Do we have to?
You do. I think you'll be good at this.
It's going to be hard work, I can tell you that. Well,
Wow.
I think it's an amazing story. So this is Jacob Rees-Mogg on this very station, I think, talking about, I think, and actually, I think it would be a good idea.
Oh, no. Right, hold on. If he's want a good drinking game, I'm going to participate in this one. If he's want a good drinking game. Every time that he's trying to, what dare I say, man? What dare I say? Every time he's trying to, like, indoctrinate you with his point of view, he goes, right. It's a common tactic, man, and fucking hundreds of motherfuckers do it. So, let's just listen to this fucking cunt.
How many times have I been on air and said there's a silent majority in this country? I think they might come out on polling day, but that silent majority want to see a bit of, red blood meat right-wing policies. These are the people who've got them. Why not draft them in? And even if you start floating the idea, you'll then get a feedback and a response to see whether it would work.
Let's have a listen to what Jacob said on GB News last night.
Answer lies.
Now remember, GB News get fined all sorts of shit, man, for turning it into a party political broadcast and breaking all sorts of rules by I'm assuming Ofcom, but you know how like news programmes are meant to be news. This,
in reuniting the right, with the help of Nigel Farage in a Conservative government as a Conservative minister, with Boris Johnson probably returning as Foreign Secretary and welcoming the likes of Ben Habib and Richard Tice into our party, as well as pursuing genuinely Conservative policies, winning the next election suddenly becomes within reach.
Does it, Stephen?
Yeah, no, let's get a couple of things straight. Benjamin Disraeli said that the Tory party is an organised hypocrisy, and to a certain extent, all parties are coalitions. Then don't forget, there's a huge block of Tory MPs who are wet. You're so wet, as Margaret Thatcher used to say, you can shoot snipe off them. You know, and they, was it whoever, somebody said that. But the point is, if you look at the votes this week on arresting MPs who've been charged, when the government lost the vote, you look at the Rwanda bill where Tory MPs are voting against it. The fact is, if you move to the right, then you abandon the left. The left could then coalesce around the Liberal Democrats.
Oh, here, hold on, man, I found something. What happened last night at the Spurs City game, man? What were the Spurs fans doing? I know that they kind of wanted Spurs to get beat, didn't they? I know that was all the jazz. I get the head fucking all that, man, but when I hear English teams try to talk about their rivalry and all that, I'm just like, right, idiots. You know? Come to me when you've got a couple of paramilitary, at least 2 paramilitary forces that support your football club, motherfuckers, that have killed people and all that. That's when you know about football rivalry. No, when you can walk, when you might not get done in if you walk in the wrong area wearing a football top, or you're wearing a football top. The last Old Firm, and for my shame I do own a football top for an old man, but fuck it. And the white van men, I was like, nah, it was the main street, they weren't going to pop out or anything, but I tell you what, speak to me when you've got paramilitary motherfuckers. So I'm going to say, man. So what happened, Gigi? Stadium was silent until Spurs went 2-0 down. Right. It's no White Hart Lane anymore, isn't it? No, it's Spurs' new fucking O2 Arena or whatever called now. Anyway. Rangers, Ibrox is a listed building. Celtic Park is fucking Fergus McCann breeze blocks. So all I'm saying. Right, back to the news, man, before I just start fucking totty picking.
I'm not entirely sure that there's going to be a complete realignment. What there has to be, without a shadow of a doubt, is there has to be a recognition on the Conservative Party that they should be flipping conserving something. Because at the moment they're conserving nothing. They're just liberals without the sound bites.
No, but the trouble is Farage and Tice do pronounce on right-wing policies which used to be conservative. Now, as a kid, I remember the first time I ever heard Broad Church was Jim Callaghan, of the Labour leader, because he had terrible problems inside his party with left-wingers and the union. So he used to come, we have a Broad Church. Even as a teenager, I knew Broad Churches don't work because you can't be all things to all people. So why not step forward and be something very significant to those who, you know, will support you?
Farage is a proven winner. I mean, we had Brexit in this country because of Nigel Farage.
Yeah. No, I mean, in many ways, Nigel Farage is up there with Blair and Thatcher as the most significant politicians of my lifetime, without a shadow of a doubt.
I don't disagree with that, but he's also so divisive still. He remains divisive, unfairly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not saying that wasn't. I wasn't supporting it. But I mean, Kinnock said that we are a broad church, but sadly we're full of knaves.
But don't the parties who do well traditionally throughout time are pretty centrist, thinking about Tony Blair?
Yeah, but the centre ground shifts.
You've got to get that centre ground.
Yeah, but the centre ground in '97 is not where
No,
the
man, I
centre
think
ground
Gerard
I
done
totally
his
agree with you.
time.
And also, I blame David Cameron, Lord Cameron, you know, the Foreign Secretary who thinks he's the Prime Minister again, for diluting the party of its core values. And in fact, I'd go even further back and say John Major started diluting the Conservative Party of its Tory values, talking about the wets and, you know, cozying up to Europe and all that. And ever since that day, the Tory Party has just been getting more and more and more
I really think Claremont.
And I was at a dinner last night at the Carlton Club where a lot of senior Tories were there, and I said to them, "So, what is the greatest achievement?"
It's looking a lot better, man. It's just his style.
Oh my word!
Nowadays, man,
gazing at people
modern managers,
because they were struggling.
All the baldy ones with fucking face hair, they're all copying Pep Guardiola's. Like, there's no copying, but the modern day style of football is more.
Are you not a member?
High line, high press, fucking high intensity in it. Whereas Gerrard,
Boris Johnson, but then
they got
from my perspective,
but then having achieved what I thought was a vote winner, they decided to shoot him.
The key thing here is, if you look at the Blackpool South by-election,
time will tell, mate. But the water under the bridge, man, Gerrard.
17%. If Reform gets 17%,
I don't think you'll ever hear many bad words ever said about Gerrard Rangers fans.
You know, it's not so much the problem of realignment. It's actually what's going to happen. This could be.
Would he have wanted them to go to somewhere not really that bothered? But wasn't he like there was a big cry out to get rid of him? But Rangers fans, football fans in general, but Rangers fans and
as well,
can be very fickle, you know.
Reform were here and represented on this table today, they would say that's okay. We're all right with that because our vision is for the British Conservative right to be given a kick up the backside.
It does look like they might have went. They're having a wee bit
I
of
tell you,
dip and
Rick, but I
fall.
wish what they'd say is that instead
injured.
of, you know,
Even
saying
though
we're
it's
knight
having a
in
wee
shining
dip of
armour,
form,
riding up the
their
hill on our
head
own,
has been turned,
they would say we're
in the
knights in
sense that they
shining
do
armour,
know
we're going
that
to
they're
rescue
not
the
going to
Tory
be there at the
party.
end of the
And the
season.
only way you
And
can
you
do
can see,
that is to
for me,
infiltrate the Tory party.
the players have made that
No,
decision.
but if they worked hard
9
enough and
times
got
out of 10 you
inside
can
the
see in
Tory
their
party,
performances.
couldn't they turn them back to
9
conservatism?
times out of 10
Because
you can see
one
just
of the aspects of
that
this
no
is
one
that
to
you'd
put
have to find
themselves on
some
10%
safe seats
into
for
the
these people to
cause in case
stand
they do
at,
get
and
injured
that could
and
go
then they
way
fuck off for their
beyond
new club.
Tice and
So it's
Farage.
whether they're doing it deliberately or not,
When I
subconsciously.
was in the Whip's office, I remember a Labour MP saying to me in 2010, do you know, a period in opposition would do us some good. And one of my colleagues thumped him.
Don't blame him.
It would be a good idea.
Change.
There's your Britain's news channel.
Stop scoffing pies, you fat git.
Oh, was he talking to Mike Paddy there?
It started in Europe. We all know the Mediterranean diet is likely to, you know, not put as much weight on. But when you're stuffing haggis down your throat, you know, when
it's hilarious, right? It's a big bunch of fat cunts sitting round talking about how bad it is to fight obesity. Mike Graham was talking about this earlier on in Talk. And I was like, my God, mate, you should not. You should be like the BBC and Sky News and GB News, but I think they're not talking about Israel. It's off the news cycle in the UK. The UK's domestic news cycle, on behest of the intelligence services, I would argue, has removed Gaza and Israel from the news cycle because all reporting, no matter how much spin they try and put on it, is coming across negatively.
Yeah, in Bristol and having...
Right, I've had enough of that shite. Fat cunts telling you how to fucking take this jab. We'll pay people to be slimmer. Moral chicken. Oh man, I'm so hungry. Oh, there's the United States Capitol. Nice one. I think they should have made that out of breeze blocks like Parkhead. Just an easy jibe. Hey, we've lost the league, man. It's the least I can do. Alan, damned, GG in the afternoon, guys. Luton, how you doing? Anyone but Arsenal, just Spurs fans. Roberto, how you doing, my man? Barry, DJ, EL, Mangina, and Faceless. Hopefully, these are all still watching. Remember, there's the poll there. Do the BBC and Sky News know they have lost the hearts and minds over Gaza? and I'm referring to the fact that it's just been removed from the news cycle the last couple of days. Well, that's been 3 days in a row for Sky, and this is the first day the BBC stopped reporting on it. Touched base with another couple of UK talking head outlets there. Well, this is Sky News, so there's no chance they're going to be talking about it. There's Royal Worship. What time are we at? And then there's all their shitty adverts because nobody listens or watches to them anymore. They're a dead donut. There's the guy who's he's offensive to symmetry. Morning glory.
Stop.
Need a better marketing time. I could come up with a better fucking fact. I came up with a million and one better sold titles than that shit. Probably some of them will even get through the fucking...
Now, this is obviously something that Keir Starmer's been setting up for a
whatever
while.
Pop TV
We're not
calls
sure
themselves
quite who it
nowadays.
is yet. We've had a couple of hints and a couple of tips, but we won't bring you those until we know a little bit more. But we may be able to bring you news on that front before 10 o'clock, when Julie Hartley-Brewer will, of course, be here as well. Big story on the front page of The Sun this morning. £200 million Rory. I want a divorce. It's not that clear why he wants a divorce, but he wants a divorce.
You encouragement. What's that? You're not going to lose the way. Oh, well, who could have seen that coming? I think it's one of those things where if they can keep it off, fine, because 400 quid in the short term offset against the...
Talk it over. The most unsexy headmistress looking woman ever. Usually the sexy headmistress thing can date for me, man, but she doesn't. Maybe it's just the shite she talks.
YouTube on your smart speaker
It's a
and
game
on your
changer.
connected device, and with you live all the way until 1
Hi.
o'clock. Coming up,
Not on
in
TV.
This, going to be talking more about schools set
we're
to
not
be banned from
successful
teaching
enough to beat
pupils about
TV.
gender identity, and children under the age of 9 will not be given sex education lessons at all under new government plans. Do you welcome that? Do you not welcome it? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Do get in touch. Give us a call. 0344 499 1000. Text 87222. You can also get in touch on X at Talk TV. You can send a WhatsApp on 0344
See people you're
499
used to
1000 as
seeing
well.
wearing glasses
Also,
because
we're
they
gonna
wear
be talking
glasses,
about the
then they get
latest,
the eye
stories about obesity. We
laser
talked about
treatment.
this on the show a lot yesterday about
They
Ozempic
never
and
really look
other
the same.
fat jabs being given to people who weren't even losing weight, some
They're
of them on
always
these
getting a
drugs.
little
But it does appear it cuts their chance of heart attacks and the like. And so arguing
And
that
I've
this should
witnessed
be
it more than a
available
few
to
times, let's
millions
just
on
say.
the NHS, even if people don't lose weight. But now we've learned
Julie
that
Hartley
an
Brewer, I
NHS
can't
trial has had
stand her.
obese men being
Mate, I
paid
love
up
to hate them as well, man. She
£400
doesn't
each
even
to
give me a
lose
bit
weight,
of
and it's proved
titillation, you
more
know. It's
successful
like,
than just sort of urging them on and giving them
I'd
health
rather Mike
advice
Graham smack
and
me
any
with a
traditional
roller
diet
miss.
plan. So is that the answer? Paying people to lose weight with taxpayers' money? Really? Plus, Donald Trump's former attorney, Michael Caron, has said he was...
Did you get one, Alan? Are you taking the piss, or is there a joke I've missed out on, mate? They are the business, buddy. They are fucking phenomenal, man.
This is Talk. Welcome to the home.
Do you know what though? By the way, I don't know. I would like to see the timeline because you know you get all those fancy chefs that deep fat fry ice cream, and then you fucking and you bite into the ice cream and it's like cold and melty and it's beautiful, right? And that's like fucking Michelin star restaurants. Well, that's what you do with a Mars bar. The time I tried to do it, I fucked up because I didn't freeze the Mars bars beforehand. So you freeze them, stick them in the freezer, then you dip them into batter, then in the deep fat fryer, and boom shakalaka, that's how you eat that. This is how we fry it.
In the future, I mean, who would be the Tory leader? Whether you like or agree with them or not, think they'd be the best person around the country if they were Prime Minister. Who would be the Tory leader?
Doesn't it look the best, but like, it doesn't look any nicer than or worse than a fucking deep fat fried fucking black pudding supper. Oh man, I'm fucking starving.
His clashes with Angela Rayner have been awesome.
He is very good at being at public speaking. He's very good at being able to sort of
Hold on,
needle
man.
people
Let's
and
go
not
back
come
to Tits
across
and
as
Tea,
quite
please.
boorish or quite sort of over.
Tits.
I was very impressed with him. I always like Michael Gove when he's speaking in public. Again, I'm not sure he would make a good Prime Minister at all.
Who is this guy?
So therein, I'm afraid, lies the problem, is that the people who would be very good at doing that sort of thing are not the people you'd want to be potentially Prime Minister.
This is always an issue. It's always an issue, isn't it? Look, I do want to get your calls and texts. We've got quite quite a few coming in about this ban on schools teaching particularly gender ideology, but also children under the age of 9 not getting sex education classes. Some of them really inappropriate stuff that no 9-year-old or
Gigi, you've never tried it, man. Hey, it's not ideal to eat it fucking every day. Right? And if you're going to do it at home,
fantastic.
Fucking freeze it.
Sane on all of this stuff. She's been a fantastic campaigner. She raised this in the comments a year ago in terms of what was going on in sex education.
No, you need to freeze it first, or it just turns to shite. Been there, done it. Tried to live stream it. It was like, I'm Glaswegian, man. I'll deep fat fry a Mars bar. No problem at all. What can possibly go wrong?
It was on such a tiny scale.
I didn't freeze it. It turned to shite, man. And we are trying to like.
Is this
you need to freeze it before you fry it,
and then you get that lovely just woken up to how dangerous
I do think it's too little too late, and I think it's been the story of actually this government. We should say the various iterations of this government, because we've tried all the different flavours of Tory and none of them have been very good, but they've taken their sweet time.
Did you get that the other night, Alan, when you were on the sauce, mate, and you're like,
I'm still here, it's just for effect. But they have taken their time on all of this sort of thing, and it's now, just before we get to a general election, that they're doing the bare minimum, and they expect us to go,
Doberman, I can't do it. Pizza Crunch. The deep fat fried, cheap ass £1 fucking pizza. I can't do a Pizza Crunch.
In this very short
I've tried it, but I've never been a fan of it. The ratio of stuff to deep fat fried bread just pissed me.
So
there for me, although I do love fried bread. Do you know what I love, man? Fried bread. Cut a wee square and your fried bread, right? Fucking boom, boom, and put an egg in the middle. Oh man, business, and then the wee square you cut out, fry that as well, and that's a wee appetizer. You can dip in your yolk. If you do it right, cut square out, crack the egg in the middle of the bread when you're frying it, and then if you do it right, you can still get it a wee bit the yolk runny. And if you're not scared of young runny yolks, which a lot of people are, I know, and then you get the fucking
the latter that they care about. So once they're in office, actually, I suspect you'll see a lot more pushback on a lot of things.
My dad was a butcher growing up, man. We used to have like fucking mountains of fried shit on a Sunday regularly, man. I mean,
just because that seems to be the case now doesn't mean that he can't be swayed by pressure from his own.
Oh, exactly. Because I don't think he believes in anything. That's the big issue.
Flashbacks,
man. Specifically, I mean, you and I think we're very much on the same page on the gender ideology. In terms of sex education, there is still quite a big debate. And I remember even when my daughter was in late primary school, friends advising a book about,
the vicar, you're getting mixed up with sunbed shops, mate.
Periods and things like that. And it's really important that we are open with our kids about those sorts of things, where because otherwise it'd be really scary if suddenly your body changed and no one had told you about it. And I do think there are parents who bury their heads in the sand and think, oh no. I mean, I had friends who were like that, going, oh no, my daughter doesn't don't do that. And I'm thinking, yeah, I really think she does. Yeah. But again, it's often up to parents to decide things. But there are some, particularly for religious beliefs.
Here's some stories from Glasgow, right? This has all happened in the last 2.5 weeks. The sun was out in the beer garden. Old boy drives, stops by, grabs a pint, but he's also got a fucking bag full of cargo. Cargo meaning booze. In Glasgow terms, there's another one for the Glasgow dictionary. And it's, what was it called? Was it Thunderbird or some shit? Eldorado. Wasn't it Thunderbird? Eldorado. Long story short, cheap, the cheap version of Buckfast. It's the Buckfast for extra jakies. In fact, Buckfast isn't for jakies, man. It's too expensive. But it's Buckfast for jakies. Then the other night, it was a couple of nights ago, this boy, at first I was like, he's just high as a fucking nigger pie, you know what I mean, right? And then, like, after speaking to him, he's turned round and he was apologising because he fucked up this route and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, he's like, oh man, do you like a smoke? Do you like a snuff? Do you like the rock? And then I was like, oh right, this guy's a fucking crackhead, man. And he starts pulling out his fucking stashes at everything. Oh, fuck's sake, mate, I'm alright. He's like, I'll try this. And comes out with a wee fucking pot of fucking, like, Nutella, chocolate spread. Like, oh, I'll fucking try this. And his finger in it. I'm like, No, mate, you're alright. Like, do you like The Rock? And then that's when I fucking noticed the fucking crack jaw. You know, he was just half his score and he's pulling out grinders and all sorts. Well, fucking hell, mate. I'm alright, man. I'm alright.
Playing into a pornified role
I mean,
for male gratification.
stuff
And
like
it's,
fucking...
as a mum and as a military woman, it's really sad to watch. Especially
sanitary, I
my
mean,
generation, my mum's
either.
generation fought so hard for women not to be seen as just, you're someone to have babies and clean the dishes, or you're someone to have sex with, and that's it. That's all you are, saint or sinner. And actually, just they painted themselves into this role. And I think the gender ideology and all the fetishist stuff, and it all ties in.
Best fucking
Why does any
crackpots
normal
in the
adult want to
fucking
talk
world,
to an
man.
8-year-old about
Fucking
oral
tell
sex?
you, man.
Sorry.
They shouldn't.
They should. No, not just they shouldn't. They shouldn't be in our schools.
Yeah,
those people scare the living daylights out of me. We have sexualised young women to such an extent. Now we're sexualising.
Well, fucking gross it a ball. Oh no,
And
you've already gross it,
I think
ballsy.
really,
What scares me? A guy in a dress, you fuck. Do you know what scares me more than a guy in a dress?
you know what?
You in a dress, then, because I know you fucking got a vagina. And I'm like, I thought you were fair game until I seen you. Like, fuck
All
you.
of your behaviour is dreadful. Toxic masculinity, this and that and the other. Oh, but here everything is hypersexualized, and but you have to talk to your sons about how they're going to behave and how bad they are. Everything is absolutely everything that they do is awful.
Don't even kiss a girl without getting a letter in triplicate confirming it's okay.
Not only is the hypersexualization of women acceptable, the hypersexualization of adolescents and children is also okay and should be encouraged. And you can't have those
Do
two things
not get
competing at the same
duped
time. It's no
by
wonder,
these
actually,
idiots.
that a lot of young people are
Maybe
incredibly confused
saying
about what it is they're supposed to be, about the
what you
roles
want to
that
hear.
they're supposed to fulfill.
What
It's no
even
wonder
may
that there are
agree with.
massive rates
They're
of
doing
mental
it
ill health
for a
amongst
reason.
boys, but also
To curry your favour, because the Rupert Murdoch
women has not gone
fucking
away.
talking
You're
fucking
a girl. You can either be
nutbags.
hypersexualised and have everything hanging out and doing everything.
Hypersexualised, it's all fake, says the woman that gets laser eye fucking treatment and trying to hang out whatever saggy tits you've got left out on the fucking screen.
No wonder. It just feels incredibly sad. I think we just had so. I mean, I'm much older than you, but I'm just saying.
Feels sad that you
much more of an
can run
innocent
with a
time. It
shit
really did. And I
24
come
hours
from
a
a very
day.
little liberal parenting background, and I'm not Mary White at all. But I think I just think this has gone way too far. Love to hear all your thoughts on all of this. 034.
This went too far. Hello, here, hen. You're definitely older than the tooth than me, saggy tits, right? So, your parents thought the same for you, and your parents' thought the same about them. It's a continuing cycle, right? Unless you're an absolute fucking crazy onward fucking Christian soldier that was to batter it all back to living in a book that was written by man to control man. And if you cannot hear, make your own minds up. I'm just saying, make your minds up away from fucking these religious crackpots or the people who are fucking spewing out fucking religious dogma under the disguise, if that's under the disguise of being news or by topical events or telling you the truth or not being the mainstream media. Well, they are no longer the mainstream media. Actually, they're internet fucking bumpkins now. They've been kicked off the mainstream media. They can't afford their licenseship. Anyway. This is what populism is. I remember when fucking that word started, that phrase started getting propagated a wee bit, and there was right, I'm going to refrain for just... There were people out there who were like, what's wrong with populism? It's popular. Now, if you are that simple, fucking right, these people are for you. They are for you. In fact, here, I'm for you, man. I'm for you. All you need to do you know how easy it is to tell people what they want to hear and stay within a wee sort of a safe demographic? I do, and I don't, because I can't, and I refuse to. I never have, man. Because, well, I don't know why. Well, I've done it all my life before I was even tuned to the moon and fucking the Truther Industrial Complex Truther shite. It's my vaccine injuries manifesting itself in some form of Tourette's, where I just can't help myself but say, they're full of shite. That's why the Christian institution, the Proddy Christian institution of the Boys Brigade, kindly asked me to leave. I kid you not, they didn't kick me out. They asked us to leave. In fact, they kind of paid us money. I.e., they gave us the money back and paid to go that night to the bowling and went, hey, do you want to get the fuck? Because I like my dad always used to try and tell me, play the game. I just can't play the game. There's something in me, man. Maybe it's my mom's side of Fenian that's got the rebel in her. So I'm a mixture of a proddy that's reintroduced a bit of rebel into them, and I'm like, I'm a Protestant that hasn't stopped protesting. I'm a hybrid.
44991000. Let's also talk briefly about Tories telling the police, bring back stop and search. I still find it extraordinary, this whole idea that when the police do things wrong, we kind of blame the government as well as the police. But technically speaking, the government isn't supposed to tell the police about their actual, day-to-day policing, except we pay the police's wages. Of course it should be the government on behalf of us telling them what they're doing. Yeah. But we've got the Chris Philp, who's a minister I've got a lot of time for, actually. He talks a lot of common sense. I mean, a lot of the time. And he's the policing minister. He's basically saying...
this is the whole of common sense, isn't it?
Using more stop and search to tackle knife crime rather than, he says, appease campaign groups who claim it's discriminatory.
Well, then I suppose you've got to juxtapose that with the police in this country and the Conservative politicians often referring to community tensions and how we have to talk to the community. No, the police are there to uphold the law. That's ultimately what it's nothing to do with what campaigners or communities or whoever feels about the situation. If you're carrying a knife and there's a reasonable chance that people who fit a certain demographic could be carrying a knife,
brand
you need
is
to
about
stop and
consistent.
The problem with
is, in fact, hats off to Islam. At least they stick to their fucking crackpot fucking ways. their crackpot. What am I trying to say here? Hats off to Islam. At least they're true to their crackpot ways. Whereas Christianity's like, now we'll let fucking every Tom, Dick and Harry get married in our church now. Oh, come on in, gays, lesbians, everything in between. We want you in our church. We're sorry for fucking stringing you up for thousands of years. Now we're all different. We've had our God. Consistency. At least Islam has consistency in their crackpot fucking ways and teachings. Christianity, they'll change it at a drop of a hat, and they'll change it at a fucking EastEnders episode. They'll change it at a Coronation Street episode. They'll change it depending what way the wind's blowing. We'll go that way. Fuck, word of God. Nah, it's just we'll change it to suit the fucking. We'll change it to suit the way people feel at the time, so we can mobilise idiots to still give us money. Yes, aye. So I have more respect for crackpots who believe that is the word of God and follow it than the crackpots who believe it is the word of God and just manipulate it to suit fucking people up the masses to manipulate them. Does that make any sense? I think that makes more sense than fucking all organised religions, to be honest. But I might just be rambling. Man, I kind of need a piss. Let's go back to the... Ugly head. Oh, the ugly head. GB News has the demon headmaster. And if you don't, if you don't know, honestly, this is my secret power. This is my secret power. Right. Try and tell me that isn't Jacob Rees-Mogg. Right, that's Jacob. I don't even know how you fucking spell this cunt's name. Right, there's Jacob Rees-Mogg. Right, fucking hell. And here is the demon headmaster. Right, one of the same. One of the same. I don't know what came first. The chicken or the egg. or the demon headmaster, or rape him, Rees-Mogg. I don't know. Who came first? Look. Look. Like, this is my artificial intelligence face recognition system working from a different level. Like, demon headmaster. And GB News has the demon... Oh, right, we need to go and check... Oh, fuck. I can't stand the American news, but I'll check it back. They have the... GB News has the demon headmaster, and they have the demon headmistress. That was a long way
whether
around.
black or white, Asian or whatever, by treating everybody as if they're a criminal.
Double ganger, man!
Demographics. Because
fucking double ganger.
Well, this saves lives, and it does.
And I didn't even watch the demon headmaster growing up. I just remember flicking it, and because it was on CBeebies.
But nevertheless, if you're the vast majority of people who fit that demographic,
I'm going to watch the well cooler ITV children's programmes. I'm down with the cool kids.
It did that.
Not the Blue Peter kids.
And I understand that. But you have to understand why people are...
He doesn't have to understand anything, you fucking cow. See, anybody that bounces up and tells you you have to understand this, no cunt has to understand fuck all. See, soon somebody tells you have to understand that, poof, pull your fucking glove out the back pocket and go, "Hey, man, the jewel!" and slap them across the fucking face. That's what I would recommend. Go, I don't need to understand any of your tripe. You're parroting at me some cunt else's opinion or your opinion, and I don't need to understand it at all. Who the fuck do you think I am? Do you think I'm a fucking blank piece of paper here and you've got a wee fucking scribe? You're a fucking demon headmistress. Don't you understand fuck all? You get laser eye treatment because you're so vain and you fucking look ugly.
Crime in your life and you're stopped and searched 3 times a month, you're going to be annoyed about it.
Don't hang out on street corners. Don't wear a hood. Don't wear a mask. And I'm serious, actually. Dress like you're going to work. I don't care what your work is. Dress like you're a professional.
What if you're going to the pub?
Then you'll get all the fucking gangs bouncing about like, what was that beautiful fucking film called The Gangs in New York? Warriors come out to play. You can't stop and search me, man. I'm just a baseball team. Can't stop and search me, man. I'm just a circus fucking You'll get gangs like fucking dressing like fucking gangs. Maybe that's where we're going, man. We're going into gangs in New York territory. Hold on, am I tripping? Am I getting that right? Gangs in New York? No. No. Gangs of New York. Am I right? Gangs. Because I think there's been a modern day film called that, and I think that's what's going to get brought up. Yep. What the fuck am I thinking about? 1970s. Am I back in the room? Am I back in the room? Oh, back in the room. It was the fascist, deep state, Illuminati, Jews, Christians, Muslims, Al-Qaeda, all banding together to bring me down. I know it. Fascist, deep state, Illuminati, Jews, Christians, Muslims, Al-Qaeda, all banding together to bring me... Yep, you fucking say it, bro. Right, I fucking forgot what I was talking about. Oh, right, I was talking about demographics and all that kind of shit, right? So, like, people aspire to be their things that they see that they put on a pedestal when they're grown up. Now, if you're a black dude or dudette grown up, typically what the media, controlled by typically your white dudes, if you want to call it that, spews out to show you as aspirational black people. It's all gangster shit, man. It's all gangster shit. So it's no surprise, monkey see, monkey do. So it's no surprise that all the black youth or a lot of the black people aspire to what they put, the icons or whatever the people that are put in front of them, which is perceived to be what you should aspire to be, and thus you go down that route. So, like, if you're like if you're an unracist policeman and you walk down the street, who are you more likely to stop? The person could be black or white nowadays, man. In fucking London, Stan, you can't tell, man. They're all bouncing about like fucking hips for the hood and all that. From my outside perspective. So who are you going to stop? The dude that looks like a city banker, or the fucking dude that looks and dressing and looks up to street rats, hood rats, and gangsterism, and fucking, yeah man, just what you need, bro, yeah, just you, and that's their idols, and that's what they aspire to and stuff, you know. Because I don't know about you, man, like the well-to-do people in crime that I've ever came across, man, the last thing they ever want to do is fucking project that shit on their kids. If anything, they go about a very heavy fucking process. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Just depends how the cookie crumbles. But sometimes, most of the time, a lot of the time, preferably a lot of the time, a lot of people that are good about the hood try and keep their kids away from that kind of shit. You know? So it's a progression. And it's all economically driven. And it's economically driven for reasons that are well fucking known and observed. And to just point at it as... it's like it's not that hard to tell some cunt it's more likely to be carrying a knife or not. And it's not because they're black or whatever, it's because more black people bounce about, fucking dressing like they're fucking South Central. Which... if you dress like a gangster, you get perceived like you're a fucking gangster. That, in fact, fucking I've simplified it, man. There we go. If you dress like a gangster, you get perceived like you're a fucking gangster, man. So stop pissing and fucking moaning. And most black people dress like gangsters because that's a lot of their fucking people that they're put in front of them. And you can say it's a fucking fashion, it's a hip-hop fashion and all that, which it is. Right, but it's all very much wrapped up in fucking gangsterism and all that as well, because of like the history of hip hop and the relationship that it's had with gangs and gangsterism for day daw, man. You know, it's like if you bounce down the fucking street looking like a fucking Hell's Angel, then you might be fucking shifting a bit of shit about. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science. Anyways. Let's get back to GB News. They're speaking more sense than me, right? Let's check out some of the Singaporean shit. See if it's actually saying anything. Oh, we are.
Very clear in publicly calling out the support that the DPRK is providing, the ammunition that they are providing to the Russians that they are using on the battlefield. So there is a relationship here between Russia, China, and the DPRK that is having an enormous influence on Russia's ability to conduct this war, and that is of great concern to NATO allies. But we do not believe in strengthening our relationships with the Indo-Pacific, that is at risk of inflaming tensions. Instead, it is collectively making us stronger, the countries in the Indo-Pacific, countries in North America and Europe, to come together to address what those three countries are doing, particularly as it relates to Russia's war in Ukraine.
Ambassador, there are reports of a US, Japan, South Korea summit on the sidelines of the NATO summit.
No matter where you go on the interwebs, man, someone somewhere will relate
on the agenda.
Some shit to fucking
I have nothing to confirm in terms of a special trilateral on the margins at this point. Planning still is underway for the summit. What we do know is that we will be welcoming the leaders of our 4 Indo-Pacific partners. So we hope to see the leaders of Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand all join us at the summit.
Alphabet's YouTube says it will comply with a Hong Kong court decision to block access to a protest anthem in the city titled Glory to Hong Kong. Well, the song gained prominence during the 2019 protests and riots in the territory. The video sharing platform said in a statement that they are disappointed with the court decision, but will comply with the order. YouTube added that it shared concerns by human rights groups that a content ban would curtail free expression online. Observers, including the US government, said that such curbs could hurt the city's global reputation as a financial hub and that it would raise concerns over the free flow of information. Hong Kong's Court of Appeal earlier granted a government application requesting the ban.
Britain.
The judges then warned that the song could be weaponized for use against the state by dissidents seeking to incite secession. Right, time now for some headlines from media outlets in East Asia. The Korea Herald reports that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and his daughter Ju-ae have attended a ceremony to mark the completion of a new street in Pyongyang. The project, called John Wee or Vanguard Street, features an 80-story apartment building. Hello. Says the Japanese company is offering free ground radar technology to Taiwan to be used in the quick-hit city of Hualien to detect sinkholes that may have formed under roads during reconstruction. Tokyo-based GeoSearch says this is to thank the island for helping Japan during earthquakes. And Chosun Daily reports that Hive, the agency behind popular idol group BTS, has become the first entertainment company to be put on Korea's chaebol watch list. The announcement comes on the back of the firm's growing assets, driven by a global rise in K-pop. Well, in about an hour, Singapore will be swearing in its fourth Prime Minister, Lawrence Wong, and his lineup of ministers. A Deputy Prime Minister Wong will retain his role as Finance Minister. And CNA will bring you live coverage of the handover ceremony. Well, CNA's Dawn Tan with what to expect from the Istana, the official residence and office of the President.
We will witness live tonight the final formalities that must be executed to the letter here at the Istana for that handover from one Prime Minister to the next to be complete. And so the swearing-in ceremony, that is the highlight. President Tharman Shanmugaratnam will appoint Lawrence Wong as Prime Minister with the Chief Justice as witness. And here is what we are going to be listening out for. There are two key oaths here. Prime Minister designate Lawrence Wong, he must take these oaths. The first, the oath of allegiance.
Is she a Brit that went over, as a family of Brits that went over there, or is she Hong Kongian?
The first swearing-in ceremony, of course, that Mr. Tharman will be presiding over as president. He just assumed that role in September last year. In the lead-up to today, Lawrence Wong revealed the team that he handpicked for his cabinet. And tonight's ceremony will see the swearing-in of some 14 ministers. His cabinet decisions reflect a very clear intention for continuity in Singapore's governance. In Lawrence Wong's government, we can expect that to mean amplifying what many see as his
do you think you'd be able to have a company called Blackwatch anymore?
The guest list tonight, well, it is more than 800 people. It further reflects
probably fucking somewhere having a fit over that
from ambassadors from around the world, grassroots organisation leaders to healthcare workers and members of the home team, as well as business leaders, all will be in attendance.
Well, that Singapore leadership handover happening in about an hour's time. Do stay tuned for that. On that note, this wraps up East Asia tonight. Don't forget your headlines anytime at cna.asia and CNA9.
It's given me a wee baton to scrape beneath the surface a wee bit more what's going on over in that neck of the wood. Zelensky. Live. Oh, hold on. Is their website even talking about what's... Nope. Wowee, right? Look at that, man. Is that no unbelievable? Right, hold on. Local news. No. Israeli Gaza war. 3 hours ago, Israel and Egypt row over reopen. 15 hours, 20 hours, 1 day, 2 hours, 1 day, 1 day. Fuck me. Talk about a media blackout on a fucking topic, man. That is fucking scandalous. Ukraine. Let's just do a wee re-sting me on this. Is that live stuff?
For auction. This is the guitar. It is a 1974
Yep, that's fucking news. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Zelensky cancels his foreign visit as Russian advances. So is this, that's the CIA building. US intelligence spotted Chinese Iranian deepfakes. And no shit, Sherlock. Just exactly what your fucking assholes are doing in other people's elections. Only they, on the surface, seem to be doing it a big bit more successfully than yous. That's interesting, man. I'm going to go and catch up with the top of our news, see what they're saying. Tyrannical! Russian Putin's visit to China on Xi Jinping's invitation. That's his first foreign visit. Biking, rocking out in Ukraine, as we seen earlier. He's on stage, fucking playing fucking guitars and stuff. My God, Iranian missile capable of infiltrating. That's just Iran swinging her dick, isn't it? Mayor news agency Iranian. They'll be talking about the Nakba as well, no doubt. And there's the Russian-China Jewish sandwich. The Jewish Autonomous Oblast in Russia. I'm going to put this up on TikTok. In fact, I'm going to do that as an experiment. There's Jacob Rees-Mogg. Listen to him. And this is the world in which we now stay. It's the world of the warriors. Everybody's got a gang. Every Fruit Loop with the circus. Put your fucking uniform on. Put your war paint on and go to town. Right, we're not going to go for the top of the hour.
Party has been in discussions with unions. The unions
have got a major base
of Labour Party support over its so-called New Deal for working people. That involves things like promises to ban 0 hours contracts, tightening up workers' rights, and there's some discussion going on between the Labour Party and the unions about exactly which rights it will protect and increase and move into government. The Labour Party trying to kind of get to a point where it has a clear manifesto pledge on that. The unions worried that the party might be backpedalling a little bit from some of its earlier promises. Our understanding on that is very much that talks are ongoing around it, but of course Rishi Sunak will want to use the opportunity, if he can, to kind of try and suggest that the Labour Party is...
OK, let's head into the Commons and hear Prime Minister's questions.
Mr Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Jonathan Lord. Residents across the eastern villages of Woking in Byfleet, West Byfleet and Purford have seen a large number of proposed developments over recent years. Of particular concern is an area of beautiful fields near West Hall, where over 1,000 of my constituents have written back to me in recent weeks expressing their deep concerns about the lack of provision of local infrastructure and the potential effects on the local environment. My residents and I will fight on, but does the Prime Minister agree with me that Labour's proposals to concrete over vast swathes of the Greenbelt in Surrey and the South East would be a complete calamity?
Well, Mr Speaker, my honourable friend is absolutely right. Unlike actually both the Liberal Democrats and the Labour Party, who believe in top-down targets that would decimate the Greenbelt, we believe in local people having a say over their local community. Which is why we are making sure that we make best use of brown...
Way from you 60, I believe in miracles.
We don't come to lead the opposition, Keir Starmer.
What oh man,
on Monday,
what a joke this Parliament is. Oh, there's wee Hottie.
7th relaunch in 18 months. He vowed to take on the dangers that threaten the country. So it was good to see the Minister for Common Sense immediately take up that mantle by announcing a vital crackdown on the gravest of threats, colourful lanyards. Meanwhile, in the real world, after 14 years of Tory government, the prison system is in chaos. Does the Prime Minister think that his decision to let prisoners out 70 days early makes our country more secure?
Well, Mr. Speaker, civil service impartiality is an important principle that we're right to support.
Right, I'm going to have to just say something here, right? So just think of the dynamic here, right? So you had the left of the political spectrum in the House asking the right spectrum, the right of the political spectrum in the House, where he's been too liberal. You get it? There is no difference, man. It's the crumbs that fall from the big table thrown to the rats. He even looks like Roland fucking Rat. To argue over. There is no arguments, there's no discussion, there is no debate. This is as useful as a debate in society. In fact, it is a debate in society to fucking ease people's concerns about what's really going on while the real decisions are made away from this House. And that's what I genuinely believe. So go and vote for any lunatic in the asylum. Go and do it, roll up, fucking give them your consent, put your stupid signature, an X of an illiterate idiot, in a box at the voting booth, and vote for continue this shit show. Like you got Roland Rat and fucking Melted Welly. That's even better than fucking a giant douche or turd sandwich. Roland fucking Rat, the Romulan, or a Melted Welly boot.
But perhaps he could ask his Chief of Staff about that.
He looks defeated. He's got general election now, not because I win money at the bookies, because
actually on Monday, what I did do is outline the serious security threats that our country faces from an axis of authoritarian states. Russia poisoning people on our streets, China targeting our democracy, Iranian proxies firing on British ships, and yet he won't back our plan to increase defence spending. Now we all know why.
Guy Fawkes was wrapped up in all the proddy Catholic shit though.
Who voted to scrap our nuclear deterrent.
Try to stick a Catholic on a bonfire now, man. You get done for hate speech. I like the good old days where you could throw a Catholic on a fucking bonfire and everybody would be like, yay! Fire! Days like, ooh! Ooh! Give me your foreskin, the Pope loves it!
Disappointed to see that version 7.0 of his time in office doesn't extend as far as answering questions or giving any information on those prisoners he is releasing early.
I want that
Basic
redhead, man.
details like how many, where are they,
what in general,
what crimes have they committed. So will he at least guarantee that none of the criminals he is instructing prisoners to release early are considered high risk?
Mr. Speaker, there are strict eligibility criteria in place with exclusions based on public safety, and no one will be put on the scheme if they were deemed a threat to public safety. But he talks about 2.5%, Mr. Speaker. So if he does think it is important,
I really don't think it's worthwhile. It's just it's a pile of shite. It's the definition of saying so much and saying so little.
I appreciate that all this rebranding is taking all of his
How
time.
you can tell this is go and ask your average man in the street, what would you say if you got to stand up during PMQs? It wouldn't be this fucking crockload of fucking meaningless tripe. Certainly would not.
Being released at short notice without sufficient planning. Page 46. A high-risk prisoner had his release date brought forward, despite a history of stalking, domestic abuse and a restraining order. Their words, he was a risk to children. Does the early release of stalkers, domestic abusers and those considered a risk to children sound like the work of someone who is making the country more secure?
GG, exactly. That's why I can just take the piss and not whinge, because these motherfuckers have never had my consent in my life.
And let me be crystal clear, it does not apply.
Never. And far from it, I've held my own elections. Hey, happy on it,
of a serious violent offence, anyone convicted of terrorism,
shut up, Romulan. Romulan.
In contrast to the system that Labour had put in place, Mr. Speaker, governors in the civil service have an absolute lock so that no one is put on the...
It's meaningless, isn't it? It's really, genuinely, bona fide, up there, fucking meaningless.
There's an active genocide in Gaza. Previously, Arab armies shared blood with Palestinians.
Gaza is at war without anyone by its side.
Same stuff we watched before. New here. East to the east, this might be a
big indication in terms of just how important the growing, long-standing strategic partnership between China and Russia is for the leaders of both countries. In this interview with Chinese media, Russian President Vladimir Putin said he's had many fruitful exchanges with Xi Jinping over the years since they met back in 2010, and he also said that the current level of relations between the two countries is unprecedented and that they continue to grow on a basis of mutual cooperation and without interference from any sort of ideology.
It is important that Russia-China ties, as
they are fucking pyramids, motherfucker. Check that shit out.
I am talking about our joint efforts to strengthen sovereignty,
Pyramids
to protect the territorial
hills.
integrity and security of our countries. In a broader sense, we are working to contribute to the development and prosperity of Russia and China
They're
by
fucking
enhancing
pyramids,
equal,
man.
mutually beneficial economic and humanitarian
Chinese
cooperation
Communist Party fucking
and strengthen
conspiracy,
foreign policy coordination in the interests of building a just multipolar world order. All this is the key to a future success of our comprehensive strategic partnership in the new era.
That's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, Donald, what else? I mean, what are the key highlights from that interview that Putin gave to the Chinese media?
Well, there was a big focus on organizations like BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Putin talked about their role in
When you get rid of them in the merciless look, mate, it doesn't look good for you fucking hanging about on RP with them in the merciless look, man.
He also did
really
bring attention, however, to the role of the Western elites in the current geopolitical landscape. He said there's a real disregard and disrespect for different cultures and different civilizations that don't want to be exactly the way the West wants them to be.
Earth is the cradle of humanity, our common home, and we are all equal as its inhabitants. I am convinced that this view is shared by most people on the planet. However, the countries that affiliate themselves with the so-called Golden Billion do not seem to think so.
Pyramids.
US-led Western elites refuse to respect civilizational and cultural diversity and reject centuries-old traditional values.
Look at them.
They disregard other countries' sovereign interests. They seek to ensure their well-being at the expense of other states, just like in the old days, and resort to neo-colonial methods to that end. Needless to say, neither Russia nor its partners are happy with this state of affairs. We have actively contributed to launching multilateral associations and mechanisms that are independent of the West and are successfully operating.
Well, I guess what's on everyone's lips is Ukraine, and we know that the Chinese leader's been instrumental in putting towards a plan, perhaps to bring both sides of Russia and Ukraine and the West together, at least to a negotiating table. Yet we're not hearing any sort of, I don't know, a response from the West regarding discussions or negotiations. Why is that?
Well, Vladimir Putin spoke a lot about this, about China's efforts to stimulate the peace process going on right now. He specifically mentioned the 12-point program that Beijing put forward last year. He called it commendable, and he said that the additions that Xi Jinping has made since then are completely constructive, and there's something that Moscow is ready to work with. But unfortunately, the problem lies with the attitude of the West and the Kiev regime right now, because they're not interested in dialogue, according to the Russian president. They're on a mission to punish Russia.
Beijing proposes practicable and constructive steps to achieve peace by refraining from pursuing vested interests and constant escalation of tensions, minimizing the negative impact of the conflict on the global economy and the stability of global value chains. The steps build on the idea that we need to forego the Cold War mentality. Unfortunately, Neither Ukraine nor its Western patrons support these initiatives. They are not ready to engage in an equal, honest, and open dialogue based on mutual respect and consideration of each other's interests. They are reluctant to discuss the underlying causes, the very origins of the global crisis. Instead, Western elites are stubbornly working to punish Russia, to isolate and weaken it, supplying the Kiev authorities with money and arms. They are illegally trying to appropriate our foreign assets. They are turning a blind eye to the resurgence of Nazism and to Ukraine-sponsored terrorist attacks in our territory.
On top of that, Vladimir Putin reiterated something that he said time and time again, that his relationship with Xi Jinping is not just a fruitful business-type partnership, but it's also a friendship, and that in itself is something that foreshadows some productive results that are likely going to come out of these meetings in China.
Long game.
We spoke with blogger and political analyst Alex Reporterfy in China. He said the partnership between Moscow and Beijing sends a strong signal to the world about the potential for economic development in defiance of pressure from the West.
We have to understand that the entire global community, the global economy has actually changed here in the last couple of years, where Russia has pretty much, solidified its ties with China to the tune of about $280 billion of trade per year. And this is pretty much, I would say, one of the main targets for the visit. This is a relationship that's been there for many, many years. But what has changed here is Russia has completely replaced its economy. Full stop. That means whether it's Starbucks, whether it's McDonald's, whether it's major enterprises in the United States, gone. They're out of there, and they are never going to return. We have seen a country pretty much be canceled in the last 2 years here. And what happens to it when it has great partners like China to help it revive its economy? It flourishes. And this should send a major warning shot across to the other side of the pond there, saying you can't bully, bankrupt, and bomb these countries anymore and replace leaders. Russia's here to stay, and China's behind it.
There you go, motherfuckers. Its Independence Day.
Straight from a talking head American. Must be true. On the internet. Must be true. On RT. Must be fucking true. Who are you to question fucking talking heads on the internet?
While Israel honors the 76th anniversary of its national independence, Palestinians experience a time of remembrance and loss. Known as the Nakba, or catastrophe in Arabic, it commemorates the forced displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homes
the great catastrophe. Have some fireworks. There, you fucking Catholic fucks. Here, you fucking throw fucking Guy Fawkes on a bonfire. Have some of that. Hoorah!
Israel's Independence Day is different this year. The war in Gaza, the longest and priciest Israel has ever been waging in its more than 7 decades long history, has claimed more than 35,000 Palestinian lives in more than 7 months. The Israeli army has lost more than 600 of its men, with scores of others injured.
Over the years, man.
And this war continues
still getting played, man.
with
No
no
sign
sign
days.
of ending.
Probably these. Well,
this year, under the
man, I'm a
shadow
found
of the
father of my own
ongoing
country.
conflict, the traditional ceremony commemorating
I really believe it. I really believe it. I know it sounds mental. That's just my mental madness.
It's been attended only by families of outstanding soldiers, bereaved families, and honored military members. In his speech, President Herzog described it.
She's been sitting in the sun with a hat on, and the sun's only hot her boots her face.
When we carry so much pain, mourning,
Looks
so
like
much
Donald Trump with his fucking white eye
so
sockets.
much sorrow and grief, how can we behave as usual? Now, when I look at you, 120 outstanding soldiers of the Israeli Defense Forces, I know I made the right decision. You are 120 beacons of light, 120 sources of comfort, 120 sources of hope.
100 kilometers away in Israel's north, there is another massive gathering with painful feelings, for a different reason. Most of these people hold Israeli passports, but for them, the creation of Israel is associated with a tragedy.
For Israelis, today is a day of celebrating 76 years since.
Oh, you know what?
For farmers. Now it's time the Prime Minister did
Sorry, I dropped the ball there. I should have been paying attention to see if Israel or Gaza gets mentioned in the PMQs.
therefore, guarantee to Welsh farmers
whether the
that he will
memo
never again
that he
sign a
scrubbed back
deal
for the British
that threatens
consciousness at the
their
moment
interests.
had reached Parliament.
Well, perhaps, Mr. Speaker, if the Honourable
If they
Lady
went
cared
through a
about Welsh
full
farmers, she should
PMQs
stop
without
propping up the
mentioning
Welsh
Gaza
Labour
or Israel, so they are really doing a memory wipe on us, man.
of the Welsh Conservatives
Some
that
crazy,
ensured
crazy,
that there was
crazy
a
shit.
spotlight on the Labour government's proposals in Wales, which would have led to thousands of job losses, less food security for our country, and destroyed rural incomes. Farmers rightly described it as bleak.
But Alan, are you saying you fit in with the Churchills, mate?
The Labour Party's approach to rural Britain.
I didn't think you were shagging your sister and all that jazz, mate.
Finchley Memorial Hospital has had its diagnostics hub boosted by new equipment, and there are more appointments in general practice
man, look at the
locally
cut
than
of
there
her
were
jib.
before the pandemic. But
She
I
looks-
still
she looks
have
great.
constituents who are waiting too long for NHS care. So can I urge the Prime Minister to redouble
Please,
his
funny
efforts
insults
to
in
grow
the comments.
NHS workforce and get waiting
Look
times
at fucking...
down.
I'm delighted to hear about the new Community Diagnostic Centre in my honourable friend's local hospital, and we are working tirelessly to reduce the overall NH waiting list, which has come down by around 200,000 since September of last year, and that is an achievement in light of the pressures from industrial action. But she's right, there's more to do, which is why our productivity plan will free up clinicians to spend more time with patients, and, to her point, our long-term plan for the NHS will ensure that we train more doctors and more nurses to meet the workforce requirements the NHS has for the future.
Richard Bergen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 30,000 Palestinian deaths, not enough to move this Prime Minister to end
Yes,
arms
it
sales
get
to
mentioned.
Israel. The killing of British aid workers, not enough to move the Prime Minister
Who was he?
to end arms
Who's he?
sales.
The ITV, the BBC players. Phenomenal, man, so can do this.
In light of the pressures from industrial action, but she's right, there's more to do, which is why our productivity plan
fucking
will
oozing big
free
style.
up clinicians to spend more time with patients, and, to her point, our long-term plan for the NHS will ensure that we train more doctors and more nurses to meet the workforce requirements the NHS has for the future.
Richard Bergen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
30,000 Palestinian deaths, not enough to move this Prime Minister to end arms sales
Labour
to
East,
Israel.
right, sorry.
The killing of
That one.
British
Labour,
aid
he's a Labour.
workers, not enough to move the Prime Minister to end arms sales. It even seems that, unlike the US, an all-out assault on Rafah with all the death and destruction that would
Doesn't look like
entail
much, but it's
wouldn't
oozing
be
that more, but-
enough. So just what on earth would be enough to finally move this Prime Minister into the same position as the majority of the British public and end arms sales to Israel?
Democracy?
Mr. Speaker, I'd just point out to the honourable gentleman that the UK government...
No, just
does
don't
not
point out.
directly-
Point out. I'm not going to be saying anything that other people aren't going to be
sell
shooting
arms
at.
to Israel, unlike the US, and nor does the UK government offer any military lethal aid packages to Israel as the US does. So he should not conflate these issues. As part of the government's robust arms control regime, we do regularly review advice to ensure compliance with international law, and ministers act in accordance with that advice. Our position with regard to export licenses, as he knows, is unchanged following the most recent assessment, and it is indeed in line with other partners, including the United States.
As a member of the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, I was delighted that the Prime Minister found time yesterday to ignite the light of liberation at the start of its journey to Normandy to commemorate sacrifices made for the liberation of Europe. Will my right honourable friend join me this War Graves week in confirming that standing up to tyrants who bring about war in Europe is as much in our national interest today as it was 80 years ago?
So
Well, can I thank
attaching,
my honourable friend for his work as a commissioner
so attaching
on the
what's
Commonwealth?
happening. If you don't agree with how good we were for beating up the Nazis, then if you agree we were great for beating up the Nazis and like all the patriotic shit around World War II, then you should support Ukraine.
War Graves
It's
Commission.
mental
He
how they
raises an
equate all
important
these
point
craziness.
about authoritarian states with different values to ours becoming increasingly assertive. So it is right.
Authoritarian states, like you said, going to have to get some better stick. See when these are banning everything, putting in hate speech laws, forcing vaccines, forcing this, forcing that, painting people as that, these fucking protesters are radicals and all that. Don't bounce around like what's the famous old saying? Something about stones and glass houses, I think. Fucking don't sit there fucking Zeke Allen for your pedestal and pointing at the other cunt, calling him Hitler, you wee fucking prick. In fact, we've got a good Hitler haircut.
That we build
Ron
our security
Sunak.
in uncertain times, defending and protecting our country, our values and our interests. That's why we've made the generational decision to increase our defence spending, and it's crystal clear that it's only the Conservative Party that can be trusted with our nation's security.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. On the 2nd of June, the Leavenmouth Railway reopens after years of community campaigning. But just at that point, TSB have announced that they are closing their Leven Bank branch. Loss of banks hollow out communities, and they're an impediment to small businesses as well. Now, cash access
impediment, they fucking old dears, man.
Roll out 100 by the end of the year banking hubs, and FCA
Disgusting.
are consulting. But can the Prime Minister accept that the government has been too slow on this, and what else is he going to do to prevent these banking deserts from emerging?
Well, Mr Speaker, as I've
Banks are wanks, and the cunts that are fucking doing shit in Israel are fucking scumbags as well.
The needs of all customers, including those.
And this guy isn't flinching. He's noticed our
services, and that's why we legislated to protect access to
He's
cash
noticed
as
our
part of the
pattern
Financial
here.
Services and Markets Act. And as a result, customers can access cash and banking services through a wide range of channels, including post offices, ATMs, telephone, and other services, but including community initiatives like banking hubs.
Alberto Costa.
Double child rapist and murderer Colin Pitchfork is yet again having another parole hearing in the next few weeks. As well as the brutal murders,
Scottish
this
guy,
man
I told you
exposed
we rule the
himself to
world.
over 1,000 girls and women. Now, as the MP
Leicestershire.
for South Leicestershire, I distributed a constituency-wide survey asking my constituents about.
When I'm dictator, see the local elected representatives, there's got to be some rules, and I don't know if this guy passes muster or not. You've got to have to, well, I don't know, need to open up to debate, but you certainly can't just like sort of do a Tommy Robinson and bounce up to an area and run in that area because people like the, because your son is a fascist and Nazis in that area. So I would like to think this guy actually stays where he's meant to be representing, and I can tell by his accent he certainly wasn't born and bred there. So are you doing there for the poontang, or are you doing there because your politics resonates more with those folks? Just the questions I would ask. Just the questions I will ask in my dictatorship.
Parole board reform. Because the problem, Mr Speaker, is that the reconsideration mechanism rules allow Mr Pitchfork to keep asking for a reconsideration.
He sounds like a very
reconsidered decision, limitless times and cost-free to him. So, can I ask the Prime Minister if he will arrange a meeting between myself and the Justice Secretary to discuss
the most
necessary changes to the
unassertive
reconsideration mechanism
Scottish sounding
and will he
person
arrange for
I've ever
me
heard.
to be able to deliver the findings of the
No,
survey
mate, you
where
go
thousands
away.
of constituents have
Fuck
responded to his number 10 policy
Responded.
team.
How's the team?
Can I commend my honourable friend, the member for South Leicestershire, for his tireless campaigning?
I'm in hottie
And I
watch.
know that the whole House will join me in recognising the horror of the crimes committed by Colin Pitchfork and sending our condolences
my
to the
cabinet will
victims'
be full of
families.
hotties.
Now, we
man.
are reforming the parole system to add a
My cabinet
ministerial
will be
check
full of
on the
hotties,
release
mate.
of the most dangerous criminals and changing the law.
I can get
so that
Rayner on
society's
board.
most depraved
She's
killers,
in.
life means life. But I will, of course, arrange for the findings of my honourable friend's survey
Life means
to be properly
life.
considered and will ensure that
Imagine that. Imagine it later. This is a hard concept. This is a real hard concept to compute. Life means life. It's controversial. I know, very controversial. But imagine a world, and what you say is what you mean. Now, that is so... it's so important. It's now getting discussed in the mothers of all parliament, bastions of freedoms, whether what you say should be what you mean.
Discuss his proposals further.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In Gaza, Israel has attacked hospitals, it's attacked
You should have a
refugee
skirt
camps,
on, hen man,
and it
you'd
has
stand
killed
there.
aid workers.
You've got potential.
Israel has blocked vital aid, turned off water supplies, and denied access to food. Israel has killed thousands upon thousands of innocent civilians.
Oh wow, she's got a pearl necklace and integrated into her top. That's well cool.
No other country would be allowed to act with such impunity.
Oh, she's good. She's alright. See, the pearl necklace done it for me, I
Can the
think.
Prime Minister tell me why he allows Israel
As soon as
to
I
get
get
away
over
with
the
it
shock, she wasn't even on a skirt.
and why he continues to act as a bystander to such horror?
Mr. Speaker, well, we do support, and I do support Israel's right to defend itself and remove the threat that Hamas, the terrorist organisation, poses to its people. But I am also deeply
Didn't say
concerned
Hamas,
about
right?
the growing humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and have consistently made that point at this dispatch box and to Prime Minister Netanyahu. We must see further action to ensure more aid gets to people who desperately need it. The Rafah and the Kerem Shalom crossing must be open to allow more aid in. We're doing everything we can, trebling our investment, trying to get aid in by land, air and sea. And
We're doing everything we can.
currently working with allies to build a temporary pier, but she can rest assured that we, on this side of the House, will continue to do everything we can to get support to the people in Gaza who need it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, along with apprentices from the nuclear fuel company Urenco, I visited Coleg Menai in Llangefni.
Is that a Highlander reference or something?
About the future of Wilbur before they commit to a career in nuclear. Can the Prime Minister confirm when Great British Nuclear will decide if Wilbur will be a gigawatt or an SMR site? When my students can expect to see spades in the ground? And
Scotland has hundreds of clans, man. Houston, which is a clan, but Houston clan, my middle name, McDonald, we're allied with the McDonald clan. That's why I'm Lord Craig MacDonald Houston, not McDonald, MacDonald. True Scottish.
One other site will be vital to achieving our aim of more energy security from nuclear power. Decisions haven't yet been made on the final site to be used, but as ever, she makes a very strong and compelling case for our area. And as soon as a decision has been made, I know that the Energy Secretary is keen to update her at the earliest opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah,
In
I'm
March,
gonna watch
the
again.
Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman's report into 19
Oh, fuck's sake, she's dressed like a vicar.
injustice.
Fuck's sake, hen man. May as well have a burqa on, man.
Pensions was guilty of maladministration. That these
Am I
women
watching
suffered
Press TV over here?
Justice, that they were owed compensation, and that Parliament must urgently identify.
Ah, motherfucker!
Nearly 279,000 of women have already died.
Oh my God, man.
So when will the Prime
I'll show you
Minister
my
finally place
plaster
before this
bottle.
House a mechanism for appropriate redress?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as I said to the House last week, I understand the strong feelings across the Chamber about these matters and the desire for urgency in addressing them. And following the Ombudsman's multi-year investigation, it is imperative that we take the time to thoroughly review the findings, and I'm not entirely sure I agree with her characterisation of all of them so far, but broadly we are committed to making sure that pensioners have the dignity and security they deserve, including through the triple lock, which is increasing pensions by £900 this year. But I welcome tomorrow's debate on the Ombudsman's report, and we will of course take all views into account as we identify and implement next steps.
Thomas. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know
Bits
that
of
my
my
right
body
honourable
that are
friend, the
oozing
Prime
shit.
Minister, takes a personal interest in community pharmacy. Community pharmacists play an essential role in reducing pressure on urgent care services by helping people prevent ill health and
Right,
managing
that's
long-term
what we are in.
conditions.
Quite sick
Pharmacy
minutes
First
in,
is a
so
good
it's got to be
example of
over soon.
government commitment to community pharmacy. Government
farmers waiting list inside. He knows in due course. Constituencies, food security, maintained accommodation. At this point,
Right. I need to go and feed myself and do bits and bobs. So, thank you very much, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed your daily PoliTITS. Last couple of seconds call if you want to do the poll. That's what I'm looking for.
96% of service family accommodation meets or exceeds the government's decent home standards, and last year we put aside an extra £400 million investment.
15 votes. Do the BBC, do the BBC and Sky News know they've lost the hearts and minds of the people over Gaza? 67% say yes, and 33% say no. It's just very, 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 very telling. It wasn't scrubbed. It wasn't scrubbed from BBC, the PMQs, but it's off the news cycles of BBC and Sky News. Sky News haven't spoke about it this week, 3 days in a row, and the BBC today didn't mention anything about Rafah, Gaza, Israel. It's a what is it you're looking for? It's the cost benefit analysis, isn't it? It's the damage control. It's what happened inside Syria. As soon as they lost the war inside Syria, they detracted the Hitler Holocaust. He's gassing his own people shit. I mean, why did Assad all of a sudden stop gassing his own people like Hitler? Assad, the new Hitler, gassing his own people, which was a shite by all accounts, or a false flag. Whatever happened to a false flag? I don't hear about false flags anymore. Is that because I don't listen to Alex Jones? The false flags still happening? Anyway, weather dependent, I might fuck off to the gym, or I might do a wee bit of World War 2. Call of Duty, so tune in if you fancy that. Thanks everybody, make sure you stick a wee thumbs up for your, and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of politics. If you like politics but you're sick of the tits, then tune in to your daily PoliTITS for your fix. Kind of what? It's better that fucking shit top TVs get going for it right now. I don't know that much Scots history. I come from a gypsy family, never really learned much in school. Well, Unicorn Man, it's not so much Scots history. It's fucking trace your own history, man. I think that's where everybody should start. And what you'll find is if you trace your own history, it will lead into world history, man. Especially coming from these parts, man. Being part of don't take offence, being like part of a travelling family, Jippos, you'll have such a fucking interesting lineage, it will be untrue, man. You can only imagine. I'm going to stab in the dark. Irish, initially, but even the Irish have got their lineage in the Vikings, and that's ball deep in the Scots, and that's ball deep even in the English when you get into the Battle of Hastings, 1066, when the French, the Vikings that took over France, came over from France, then they were French, and took over England. William the Conqueror, and all that jazz. It's all interlinked, man. The world wasn't such a, especially Europe, especially the continent of Europe and its islands, wasn't that small back in the day. And oh, there's Miss Raina walking out, bastard. Oh, we've got the replay button. Forgot about that. We stay in the age of Spaceballs. Right, so it's been wrapped up.
All of which, by the way, has meant an improvement in the process, and
right,
we have seen an increase in the average sentence to rape by a third since Labour were last in office. And by the way, Mr. Speaker,
I stick a wee thumbs up, subs, better.
5
to 9, hopefully I've been as many moves as I can.
Prime Minister's questions. So there we are. That is Prime Minister's questions for this week. As expected, the Labour leader.
She's got one of those baggy trousers which TG that they've got to start on here. Like,
in the Commons as we are expecting an urgent question on the situation both in Ukraine and
anyway,
Georgia.
thank you for
We're
watching,
expecting
everybody.
The Defence Secretary Grant.
Have a nice afternoon. You know, that's fucking looking nice out there. That's why I've turned into Casper the Ghost. Whenever you hear the term black swan, think of the lesbian encounter from the movie. You've lost me, Roberto, but you haven't, if you get me. I don't know the reference you're referring to, but I get you. Oh mate, don't start me on the Gorbals, man. I get stuck into Tommy Robinson's style about the Gorbals and the Gory Bells and it being a leprechaun quality. Right, I better go. In the afternoon, everybody, have a good one. Hopefully see you tomorrow. No cats, no cheese. But I'll get cheese.
Clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.